All right. If you noticed, April is a sort of a reminiscence kind of month for us because of anniversary shenanigans. It's a chance to reflect upon the past, sometimes to see how far we've come, sometimes to revisit a movie that's pleasurable but not included the full team, sometimes to understand better our opinions, potentially changes, potentially reaffirm them, you know. And sometimes just to see if the movie in question is more relevant, because of events that happen in the real world. Today's case is hard to describe because, as far as my personal experience goes, my memory tends to be a bit hazy. We're talking about 2014's David Fincher movie, Gone Girl.
Oh
Um,
boy.
we did this back in the day because we just saw it in theaters and wanted to let us enjoy the experience. I tried to listen back to the original commentary aside from the usual problem of our audio being a bit messy. Not in a sense of internal movie audio bleeding, but the general quality not being standing. As usual, my still then nasally grating voice saying that I was bored every 5 minutes certainly did not help. And considering I did not remember much of his movie anyway, and the movie commentary is old enough, let's get this stuff out of the way. Why not? Again, this is a movie from 2014, directed by the director and major creator of themes like Fight Club, Seven, not Alien 3, because eventually when we actually tackle that movie, I will mention that David Fincher just got a hot potato tossed in his hands and everything, and The Social Network instead. Again, this stars Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike, also for some reason Neil Patrick Harris. Okay, and it's a story about love and how bizarre it can be when people start gaslighting each other. At least that's the minimal that I remember from it.
Yes.
Considering it's already long enough, we might as well just start. And if you're good news, if you're European, this movie is on Disney Plus because yes, this is yet another part of a baggage that Disney inherited from buying Fox. So picture everything you're about to see as an ideal idea for the next World on Kingdom Hearts. We'll talk about that at the end of the movie.
Given what we're hearing about Kingdom Hearts 4, that is a scary possibility.
Oh boy, I can't wait for the emotional manipulation level of the game.
If that means I get to kick the crap out of these characters with a keyblade, I'm actually down for that.
We'll have to see if this is comparable to Deck the Halls 2006 or not. All right, start before the custom 20th Century Fox logo. In 3, 2, 1, click.
Alright, I'm gonna be going into this film as usual with an analytical mindset for a few reasons. First of all, Gone Girl was a movie I constantly heard about from my co-commentators, but never got around to seeing, and it's kind of a weird case. Okay, David Fincher is a well-renowned director, and like many of his films, Gone Girl got high positive reception from both critics and audiences alike. That being said, I tried to do some background research, see what the general vibe is about this movie nowadays. The most recent thing I could find was like one sole high recommendation post in 2021. Most of the other discussion stuff I saw was, as most recent 2015. So
I did a very brief research on YouTube, and there are some people who are still wanting to watch and review potentially this movie, but they tend to be not in the the big
also, Neil Patrick
Harris.
Also, stellar cast. We have Ben Affleck, we have Rosamund Pike, we have Neil Patrick Harris, and we have Tyler Perry.
I mean, not bad actors. But yeah, why is Tyler... But yeah, why is...
curious about
look at that, Dibs. Music by the Noisy Duo. This was before they made... Keep in mind, everybody, this was before they made Soul.
Question. Like, why is Tyler Perry here? Don't get me wrong, he's a good actor.
Why is Neil Patrick Harris here?
I mean...
I think around this time, How I Met Your Mother was still a thing, going strong.
So, don't worry, Joe. Tyler Perry is actually the best character. So.
Oh boy.
But yeah. Again, I
have to say this. This is Ben Affleck. Right after the whole DCU fiasco.
Actually, was it these 2 years before BBS?
Yeah, no. I'm making a joke. I'm making a joke too. It's not actually.
Anyway,
so the film was actually The film was actually written by Gillian Flynn, who was adapting her own book.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is actually based on a book, apparently.
So
Yep.
anyway, to answer your question, Tio, How I Met Your Mother had actually ended on March 31st, 2014.
Damn. So it was at the cusp, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes, the bar.
The bar.
Okay, not for nothing. It's probably is nitpicky, but if you know that you cannot showcase a title for the bar, why do you have the camera zooming, like moving up to showcase its title? Unless it's supposed to be a joke, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
This is the thing that, again, I'm not going to go into a rant about the CGI reference. We'll save that for our generations. This is the thing about David Fincher. Like, as a technical director, I don't really see... Because remember, he's not a writer, he's a director. He always gets somebody else to write his movies for him. And honestly, when it comes to his actual director skills, I don't really see the brilliance, to be honest with you. He's a standard, perfectly serviceable director for what he does.
From what Oh, sorry.
But I don't... Like, he typically does character-driven films that are based on some kind of major theme or commentary. That being said, his actual directorial skills, I mean, they're fine, I guess, but I don't really see the brilliance going.
From what I can understand from the praise for him, even in his worst movies, he has definitely gotten actors to turn in very... Yeah, I guess I might as well call them remarkable performances. This is, again, in spite of whatever the quality of the script is, which can take a lot of skills as a director. Again, that's just my observation on the remark. And
so Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike play this couple, and let's just say this is a very interesting couple.
now, one of the few things I've gotten is that apparently some people think of this as like a turning point for Ben Affleck's career, partly because apparently the character is somewhat in tune with what happened with Affleck, before he went from, his pre-directorial days to his post-directorial days.
Oh, if it's in terms of his personal life, I guess. But when it comes to his major his major turnaround as an actor and director was when he directed The Town and starred in it.
Oh, no. My point is, apparently some people feel that this movie reflects how Ben Affleck was, charming but not exactly charismatic before his directorial days, and apparently became a better person post-directorial days. Again, I'm not as familiar with what he was like in real life. So, I guess these two are a couple in love.
Ben Affleck displayed his Iron Man 2-esque banter skills in order to seduce her.
Which is funny because the both of them were in the comic book movies in the past. Ben Affleck was in Daredevil, and Rosamund Pike was in Die Another Day. So that feels like a bad comic book movie.
I'm not sure I'd call Die Another Day a comic book movie unless it was.
It feels like a bad one.
And yet, from what I've heard, it's still better than Quantum of Solace.
Well, anything is better than Quantum of Solace.
Unfortunately, that's not saying much, but...
I mean, I get a general idea of where Ben Affleck's career went after this, but let me check where Rosamund Pike's went after this.
Die Another Day was her film debut.
Oh.
Well, okay.
I guess they scored them. Cool.
Well, when you're Ben Affleck, this becomes a very...
Wait. Is he, going down
Yeah.
on her.
Yes, Jova, this is an adult movie.
You know,
Jova,
no. This is kind of ironic.
Newsflash, Jova, couples do this.
No. This is actually perfect, though. For anyone who remembers, there was a big controversy with DC when Zack Snyder suggested that Batman, who was played by Ben Affleck at the time, would do that same thing, and DC were like, oh no, Batman would never do that.
Also, it's still actually
I mean-
more genuine in terms of a sex scene, but whatever the fuck he did with those crackers in Armageddon. Jesus Christ.
To be fair, it's a completely different context. I mean, obviously, when you have a character like Batman, you're a bit more careful of what you have him do, because the character you're trying to present this character to a mass audience. Whereas this is clearly meant to be a movie made specifically for adults and not like your typical moviegoer.
I mean, the thing was, for once, people were siding with Zack Snyder only because it felt a little ridiculous. At the time, Batman was in a romantic relationship with Catwoman anyway, so a lot of people pointed out that it was DC kind of clutching their pearls on that
To
one.
be Puritan, yeah.
Gio just said, "Go home, fuck her brains out, slap her with your penis." This is actual dialogue. I just.
And just because Dave's mentioned it beforehand, this is apparently from the same writer of the source material.
Okay. I'm gonna guess that a lot of people's praise for the movie back in the day had to do with how real it was.
How a lot of couples would actually do stupid shit and talk stupid shit like this in real life, I guess.
I understand that,
Also
Trevor,
kidding.
but I'm gonna have to once again bring out one of my main arguments with our Life is Strange runs. Realistic writing doesn't necessarily equal good writing.
That's a very chill cat.
Ah, you'd almost think it were drugged.
No, come on, it is not Secret of Nim.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So far we've had Nick Dunn, Ben Affleck's character, Amy Elliott Dunn, the titular Gone Girl, and Margot Dunn, Nick's twin sister, played by Carrie Coon.
So yeah, unlike Social Network, which was more of a go on.
But wait a minute. Oh my god, she's a Gone Girl!
That's
So,
the title
okay,
of the movie!
So somebody broke the table. Okay, is this really a
Okay,
bad
to
enough
be
to call the
fair,
police?
that's
means
kind
at
of a
least
sign of a
there's been
struggle.
break-in. So,
Oh yeah, right. Oh, I thought it was like the wife who did it by
Because
accident or something.
all movies do that with abducting plots, have a broken table.
Anyway, I checked. Rosamund Pike's career has been going on straightforward. I haven't seen much of the movies that she did after this, but I've seen the Netflix version of Watership Down she starred in. So there is this. Also, apparently,
Okay.
she was in the 2015 version of Thunderbirds Argo.
Yeah, unlike the Social Network, which was more of a fall from grace type storyline.
About Mark
this movie, on the
Zuckerberg?
other, wait, just watch the movie and you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
The point is, this movie is definitely much more character driven. It doesn't have as much like a very, prominent story as much. It's more about the characters and their things.
Huh.
Let's just say, Joe, but the Social Network takes some artistic liberties with Mark Zuckerberg's with Mark Zuckerberg's story.
Cat has its own room.
So the cat has its own room, huh? Interesting.
I guess they're just that rich. Well, that or it was a small section they were pointing at?
And the cat decided to declare its own territory. Central evidence.
Mm-hmm. Market.
Also, I know that it's just two cops when supposedly they should bring at least one or two from the scientific team.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe CSI spoiled me too much on the matter, and I know that this is not really too much of an energy, so they're just asserting. But I think they should bring at least one more person to potentially put,
Amazing Amy.
Oh, let me guess. His wife's a writer, too. What's up with the
Black
music
Cup.
swelling there?
What's up with that cut? Like, your wife
I
is a
guess
missing
I
Amy?
guess he's supposed
Yes,
to
she
transition
is.
to a
Wow,
flashback.
fade to black all of a sudden. Like,
I guess he's supposed to transition towards either a flashback or a narration of what she did, but the fade to black felt unnecessary. Who was the editor of these lives?
I don't
Sorry?
know.
Who was
Who's
the
the editor?
editor?
The editor. Let me see. Although, okay, I won't give the editor too much shit. Whoever they are, they're probably just acting on Finch's
Yeah, David Fincher.
instructions.
Remember,
That's the
editor-
thing.
Wait,
Yeah,
are we
that's
sure
the
about
thing that
that?
I don't understand. Yeah, that's the thing that I don't understand. A lot of times, maybe an editor is on the the receiving end of the orders of the director or the producer, but a lot of other times he said they will just do whatever they want. Like the guy forgetting his name, the guy who chopped out and combined whatever happened to.
It's
Sorry, go on.
it's Kirk Baxter. He's been a David Fincher regular since The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. He
So I'm
did that.
guessing it's more of a case very in tune.
So basically, he's an extension of David Fincher.
He did that. Social Network, Girl the Dragon Tattoo, this film, and a film called
So we have to
Mank.
thank him for the CGI breath in Social Network.
Well, the CGI breath is its own kind of worm's tail, but I don't want to go into a tangent
I'm
about
just
that.
saying. I guess it was added via editing.
Jeez, the way you
also.
describe it, it sounds like there's an entire story behind the CGI, bruh.
No, it's
no.
not.
It's more so that
It was
just
noted in reviews even at the time. Remember that.
it's a very baffling example of director laziness. That's all I'll say for now. Moving on.
Why does that sound like foreshadowing?
I think it's also worth noting to mention how the movie is called, at least in my country. I don't know much about other countries' different titles, but in my country, Gone Girl is still there as the prime title, but the movie has a subtitle that's roughly translated to The Lying, as in that tells lies, Love.
Huh. Again, I haven't seen this movie, but that sounds like that might potentially give away some of the plot.
Wouldn't be the first time
Yeah.
my country changes a title to be spoilery. Or to be inappropriate. Again, there are legends told about how Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind was completely ruined in terms of marketing in my country because of a title change.
I guess to give the movie credit, they're at least showing us their relationship, seeing how whatever built us up to the modern point will reach us there.
This dialogue, though, like you have a world-class vagina. Who says that?
I guess it's to show how I guess it's
Gillian Flynn, apparently.
I guess it's to show how close they are, because I'll admit, sometimes couples can say some very weird stuff. And
too.
wait, are we?
Now we're back in the present, Drova.
Are we about to go fugitive on this?
They're at least doing this just for checking, just to be sure. Standard police procedure. Actually, let me check. Where are we supposed to be?
She does sound southern. Still, she could just be someone from out of state.
So yeah, where could Amy be?
North Carthage, Missouri. There we go.
Oh, Missouri, yeah, definitely down south. And
I don't
who's...
think that was ever in an episode of Law and Order, now they mention it.
Dun dun.
Well, it's a funny thing. The main Law and Order show had been cancelled 4 years before, but Your Lord UK had just Law and Order UK I think has just ended it as well. So
Are you sure she's not called Monica?
yeah, excuse me. What does this have to do with my wife?
Okay, this is all background stuff. They're sort of fueling him on questions that may or may not help drop a few suspects or whatnot. It's standard procedure.
And also, they're mentioning how there have been examples of potential crimes, committed with our similar cases, similar to his. That's apparently where the poster of the movie is from.
Yes, because that's what it always is with New Yorkers.
Fuck off.
Wow.
Like, okay, that was inappropriate.
Yeah. What is this, marriage counseling?
Actually, let me check who she's played by.
Kim Dickens.
Huh. She was in the 2011 version of Footloose. I haven't seen that, so I don't know. She's still working to this day. Oh, she was in The Good Nurse, Netflix movie from 2022.
Yeah, this is another thing. People, I don't particularly care much for Ben Affleck's performance in this movie. Most of the movie just kind of sounds unenthused.
I wonder if, the point of it is to be somber in that regard.
I guess.
While also...
We do get to see him more playful during the flashbacks when he's flirty with his wife. He's just not super over the top and more contained. Which again, I still have bizarre memories of that scene in Armageddon where he plays with those fucking crackers on. I forgot her name. Arwen's actress. Body anyway, so whatever is better compared to that.
Let me guess, there are gonna be clues in whatever journal she's writing.
Well, let's see.
Jeez, for a moment I thought they were about to do it in the library like one of those hentai.
It's always that, Jova. It's always the library or the school rooftop.
I know, right? Oh god, even they're joking about it.
Also, this is a quasi-Cabedon.
No. Are they actually gonna do it? Oh my god!
I'm sure nobody will hear them.
Shh, quiet in the library, please. If you're going to do that, at least do it at a reasonable volume.
So does this mean?
Yeah. Could you do it? Could you do it at the dogging section?
At least now, I guess. I guess I know now what world-class vagina means.
That's
I guess she's capable of having smutty sex without even uttering a single noise somehow.
She did.
I gotta wonder, is the sex that amazing?
I guess.
I mean, Jova, they seem to be more consensual and actually enjoying it, so...
True.
I mean...
I guess they have a wholesome relationship. Alright, so Margot's his twin sister.
Yeah, the one who, the owner of the bar.
Is it? Is it? I don't. This fucking dialogue.
Oh.
Complicated means bitch. Okay. Duly noted.
I guess
I'm
you
totally
mean
keeping that.
I
I'm totally keeping that one for future commentaries.
I guess she means in the sense like, well, when you say someone's complicated and there's a pause in dialogue, that's your way of trying to be polite to someone who is rather unpleasant.
Wait. No, okay. I'm being genuinely serious. Like, is that common slang in America? Like,
I guess
do you
by
mean?
in between
It's-
shampoo, she means like in between
Um,
shampooing sessions.
Pedro,
yes, Twips.
in terms of major awards, would it interest you to know that this film was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay in both the BAFTAs and the Golden Globes?
Well,
We
okay,
know,
to
as
be
Pedro told
fair,
in the past, the BAFTAs are not particularly reliable as an award.
also to
Yeah.
be fair, if it adapted the book well, I guess it makes sense in that regard. Well, granted,
I
what
mean,
a
that this is the author of the book adapting her own book, so I'm
Let
assuming
me
the
check
book
if
is like
Pedro
this as
say
well.
something about
In the case of the
competition.
in the case of the BAFTAs, it lost to The Theory of Everything, and for the
Which is
Golden
a much,
Globe,
which is a much better movie, by the way. But yeah, moving on.
what are
and for the
the
Golden Globes, it lost to Birdman.
But the reason I was asking that was because I genuinely never heard in any movie anyone say something even close to that. Like, oh, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, in 30 minutes it's bath time, and okay, we'll talk in between shampoos. Talk in between shampoos. Such a weird phrase.
Well, that's because, again, the person in question said that she could not talk to her in 30 minutes because she was having a bath.
No, I
yeah.
understand that too. I like it's just the expression itself that
Well,
sounds
I
weird to
mean,
me.
when it comes to hair washing, some people use multiple shampoos in sessions, so
Or they just, wash multiple times instead of just one. That happens.
I guess. Wow, that's a big missing billboard.
Also, I'm checking here. I'm not saying everything because some stuff is spoilery, but just to give a couple of examples, there are quite some difference in terms of adaptation apparently compared to the book. For example, it stated that the police seems to be much more competent in his version when it comes to following up on early leads compared to the book. And for that matter, the lead detective officer Boney was described as "quote unquote" ugly in the books. Okay.
whatever that means.
Also, I think I've seen this actor somewhere else. Let me see.
I'm guessing those are her parents.
This is starting to remind me of that episode of South Park where Butters' parents are under the impression that they killed their son, and then there's a section where they're trying to. Oh, but you see, Butters was actually kidnapped and blah blah blah.
David Clennon. Here we go. Oh,
Huh.
it was Palmer in John Carpenter's The Thing. Yeah,
Huh.
that's
I
where I
think
saw him.
they're doing the same thing like this. Remind me, wasn't there a similar thing with Madeline McCann where there was like a findmadeline.com thing? I think there was
Yeah.
a website for that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was the middle of the 2010s, so the internet at this point was very rampant enough. So you can make an argument that there were a couple of initiatives where missing people were put on virtual billboards. That also there was also that movie that Adam from Wise reviewed a long time ago. I think it was Megan is Missing called. That does something similar to this.
Hey, look, Barney. But all right, I want to. It's almost we're at the 30-minute mark. So I want to mention something an issue that I have is that while I do appreciate the idea of the flashbacks to explain how their relationship was, aside from the fact that they're kind of depraved, I don't really know much about Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike's characters. I don't really have a firm grasp on their relationship.
I think that's part of the idea, because if I recall correctly, the movie will tether on the line of, is Ben Affleck reliable, the character is reliable, is he potentially also the culprit of whatever happens in this. And as such, the viewer needs to have a limited number of information to potentially be in a legal state as a police.
I feel
At least
like
that's what I'm ghastly remembering.
I feel like what it does is it gives us enough to have an idea. However, it's like just enough. It's also little enough that we can potentially have doubts, which, since this is, a mystery so far, seems like that does play to its benefit. I will say, so far, while the movie is not spectacular, I do see it setting up some good plot points overall. Granted, we're like only a half an hour, well, less than a half an hour, but we're like in the first fifth of the film still, so...
we still have 2 hours on this thing.
So
Anyway,
apparently whatever's
Kuros,
going on, there's these clues being left.
Oh great, the Riddler is responsible.
Well, Ben Affleck is Batman, so... Oh god, he's figured out Batman's secret identity and is tormenting him
Does he
now.
know?
Well, since this film's owned by Disney now, is there a Marvel equivalent of the Riddler?
I forgot. Is
Hey, look,
Cluemaster Marvel or DC? I forgot.
Cluemaster's DC. Okay. Basically, Cluemaster was, I believe, a character made for the series when they couldn't get back the guy to play Riddler, so he was kind of Riddler light.
Oh god, I think my mistake. I think he was the father of Stephanie Brown.
Yes, he is.
Okay, my mistake. then.
Also, we just found that piece of evidence. The second clue that the wife left, and the cop touched it without a glove to put it on the bag. Like you're supposed to wear gloves when you're picking up evidence, lady. Like, just saying.
That is a bit
To be fair, Ben Affleck touched it himself, so I guess they go with the pretense of before warn people of scientific that both me and Mr. Whatever he is he touched it.
I guess.
Great.
Clue 3.
This is the weirdest anniversary present I've ever
Also,
seen.
yes, I can confirm that my family had a couple of moments like this where, for some reason, our house alarm actually, goes on without us knowing. We cannot deactivate in time, and we had to answer stupid questions on the phone.
Hey, honey, for our anniversary, we're gonna play a detective game. I disappear mysteriously, and it's your job and the cops to find me.
I mean, given that they're into some freaky stuff, why is it that I can't shake that possibility out of my head?
Turns out, Joe, this is just an elaborate prank for a birthday party for Ben Affleck's character.
I mean, look. Honestly, after their library session, the sky's the limit with this couple.
I'm more surprised that there's not a high mile club scene.
Yeah,
Sorry.
considering the composers, for a second there, I thought that alarm was part of the score.
Still don't.
I have to be honest, Dave. So far, I don't think the score. Sure, it's nothing that I can remember, but I don't think I've been annoyed by it.
Oh no.
Same.
The score in the movie is not audibly annoying. It's just that again, like if
It has its moments.
I prefer when these two are just doing something akin to Soul.
Again, we're still early on anyway.
And oh,
Or Fade to Black.
Okay, honey, I think your seduction game is not working out as well as you thought. Might be time to cancel. um. Okay, I'm gonna have to say I have no fucking clue what they're talking about based on my experience.
basically, they're expressing fears of becoming like, one of those couples who are
Where
well,
one partner is overly dominant over the other and it causes an unbalancing power dynamic.
and the other ends up making it a game of outsmarting the one who's overly dominant. Basically,
Essentially,
it's
instead
a,
of being a more, an actual normal, healthy relationship, instead becomes a toxic game. of
Woo!
gaslighting each other.
Gaslighting!
Yay!
Yay!
Not
Again-
just that. Not just that. Honestly, I don't really feel the chemistry between these two. To be honest with you.
Again, one thing that I do remember from this movie, but I don't know to which extent nor to which value it has. I know that this movie at least tried to, quote, in the wise words of Jesus, why to start a conversation on the matter.
Also,
Yes.
a couple of things I want to mention about what Dwib said at the very beginning of this. One, Kingdom Hearts already has a lot of emotional blackmail and emotional trauma and emotional manipulation.
Well, then adds a bit more of that to the pile, then, sure.
Let's see what Ben Affleck is playing. Of course, it's Call of Duty.
And there's enough content that Disney now owns to make a Kingdom Hearts After Dark.
I guess,
Yeah, I think you mentioned this during Independence Day Resurgence, Shirei.
I mean,
Yeah, that's my idea. Make a Kingdom Hearts game, but you know how they have the Disney logo on the Square Enix logo on the game
Mhm.
logo. Just replace
Honey,
the
I'm
Disney
playing
one,
Call of Duty. Get out from the front of the
Just-
TV.
just replace the Disney one with Fox, and then you're good to go.
oh, of course.
Yeah, Ben Affleck face following. Again, for context, because of her successful job as a writer, Rosamund Pike's character is the one that essentially carrying their relationship in terms of money on the two. Which, again, in itself, mind you, because the society these days has a less than before, but for a long time at least, people were so quickly of pointing fingers at people just because they didn't have the job and they had their partners carrying around potentially them monetarily. It's never as easy. The job industry is a piece of shit a lot of times
Let me
for all
just
of people. So I can understand where Ben Affleck's character is coming from, at least.
let me just say that because those letters went on too quickly. Basically, sure, it said right there in the corner that it's been 2 days and she's been gone.
All right.
The deities basically keep tracking also from the day. Wait, I also saw this actress somewhere else too.
Wait, I'm pretty sure the wait, were you talking about the old woman we saw? I'm pretty sure that's
This one on the right, yeah.
Yeah,
The mother, I guess, of the Rosamund Pike's character.
Can I
Yeah.
make a guess right now because
on.
of everything that's happened?
Go on.
He did it, right?
Who? Ben Affleck?
But yeah, Shira, I
Yeah.
guess, is suspecting that Ben Affleck has been responsible, and this entire thing is just basically a cover-up for his crime. Again,
You know, the way
that's the thing that the movie is tethering upon, Shira.
the way you said his name, the actor's name, not the character, it makes it sound like Ben Affleck actually did it, and they just made a film around it.
Yeah.
Let me just elaborate on my earlier point, though. Even in the library and even in the library scene, as well as that dinner room scene where he was talking about how she has a world-class vagina. Those scenes are there's definitely, you can tell that the actors are trying to be more obvious with the passion and shit like that. But honestly, even in those scenes, I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe it's just the script, or maybe the two actors didn't particularly the most well cast. But I don't really feel the chemistry between those two.
I'm fine with them enough. My feeling is that I get what the movie is hinting at is like, well, it seemed all rosy at first, but maybe what they really were feeling for each other was lust, and when they actually got married, that started to become apparent.
Okay, so he's just come across the Gone Girls' ex, who apparently made her life a living hell, and he isn't bringing him up to the police, who are right next to him.
I mean, do they have a reason to suspect the ex if he was in the area? Was he in the area when she...
remember, she split up amongst pretty poor circumstances, and he just happens to be there.
What?
If you didn't want your picture taken, why didn't you just refuse when she asked you to whatever?
Anyway, as for this woman, Mary Beth, she's played by Lisa Baines.
Yeah, I checked. I don't know much of her career either.
Oh, she was headmistress Higgins in Legally Blonde.
No, she was in Cocktail. The movie that did won a Razzie with Tom Cruise in it.
But yeah, thanks for stopping the movie for a while to have a scene where apparently we needed to establish that this character doesn't like pictures taken.
Again, I'm guessing this is foreshadowing or, plot development for something.
It makes sense, because if you see that photo without context, some people are going to think, like, oh, he did this because he fell out of love with her or something, and just... I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to disagree with that, sure. So just because he took a photo of someone, that automatically has implications. I'm sorry. I'm gonna.
Well, later down the line, I'm getting the idea that when that happened, he was more careless and he not realize the consequences of it.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I cannot. That to me sounds kind of dumb. Like it's just a picture.
I mean, it happens plenty in real life, Pedro. Like it literally happens. Like it's not unreasonable to assume.
That doesn't mean I have to agree that it is reasonable to assume. I find that stupid. Sorry.
I don't know, though. I mean, I wouldn't call that stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid to make assumptions like that, but it's not wrong.
I mean, again, when that sort of crappy stuff can happen in real life, I do get his worries. And again, I get the feeling that, like, well, this is hinting that some sort of thing screwed him over in that regard, or there's, like, he doesn't want people getting the wrong idea.
The case is essentially snowballing into becoming more and more popular.
What streaming service is she using?
Pretty sure that's just cable.
Yeah, it looks like just generic
the
cable.
equivalent of Fox News or something similar to that.
Hey kids, back in 2014, before the days of the streaming wars,
Netflix was already a thing. Remember, Joe, but the Xbox One reveal conference did showcase it.
Well, hence why I said before the streaming wars.
Although it did took a while for Netflix to arrive in my country.
Right. Well, that's why I said before the streaming wars, because, back then, Netflix was, like, the main sole proprietor of streaming and whatnot. Regardless, though, back in the days, before streaming became absolutely mainstream, we still used cable boxes. You could use them to surf channels, go to almost any channel you wanted, but you had to deal with commercials.
They costed a lot. My family sternly refused to actually have one because of the costs.
Fun fact, it was because of the growing costs and constant need to buy other channels that a lot of people moved over to streaming, where I'm sure in no way they would make it that you would need to buy several different streaming services just to have a notable market.
I'm guessing the Fade to Blacks are tied specifically to these flashbacks because we cut back to Rosamund Pike's character writing her diary, and then we see a flashback over her life.
Mm-hmm. I love that line. Like, I'm gonna Benadryl myself to sleep.
Oh, great,
Ooh.
now we're crossovering with the room.
I just got down from the doctor. I definitely have breast cancer.
Okay, I won't say the dialogue in this movie is on par with The Room
Oh,
or
no,
anything,
I'm just making a joke.
but there are a couple of similarities. Like I can imagine Tommy Wiseau saying "world class vagina."
And no, audience, I'm not getting over that. Sorry.
You know, when I first heard the name of this movie, because like I know of the film, but I didn't know anything about it, I thought by the name that it was a horror movie.
No, again, technically it's a thriller, I guess, but nothing that could be considerable as horror.
I'm
It
actually.
just sounds like a very horror movie name.
I'm
Has
actually.
David Fincher ever done a horror movie aside from Alien 3?
What about
I
7?
7 is...
No, seven
Seven has squeaky horrific themes, but it's not considerable a horror. Still a very tense thriller, nonetheless.
Well,
Jover, I thought the film was called Seven.
I guess I might as well ask then. What do you think is the dividing line between horror film and thriller? Because horror films and thrillers seem like they pretty much interlock a lot of their...
I can actually help you there. Like, oh, whoa.
Turns out, Nick, Ben Affleck's character has a lover which he cheats with, played by Emily Ratajkowski.
Don't you just hate it when a woman breaks into your house and starts making out with you?
So inconsiderate.
If the roles, if the roles were reversed, I'm pretty sure people would get angry at this scene. Just saying.
Anyway,
I'm pretty sure people would be angry at this scene, with the dude.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Oh, great! She was in one episode of iCarly, I guess. But otherwise, she's still technically doing stuff to this day, but not much.
Okay, I might have lost myself. Like, is this in the flashback or is this in the present?
Present.
No, we're back in
pretty
the
sure
present.
present.
Okay.
I can notice because the flashbacks do tend to have a bit more desaturation when it came to the coloring.
I just wanted to make sure.
There was also the line earlier when she was like, "Oh, I saw you on TV today." So I also kind of assumed that.
Inventory.
So yeah, I guess this is a movie trying to put another spin in the wheel and say, well, is Ben Affleck's character that reliable? Is he because he has a mistress which he cheats his wife with? Does that mean that he deliberately staged the kidnapping and potential murder?
Shouldn't this be the part where you say, "I'm still married"?
I'm confident that he's not caring.
They're cheating, Pedro.
Okay,
that's the point.
Okay, so this character is horrible.
It sounds like It sounds
Sorry,
like basically he was planning to get a divorce, but yeah, no, they're cheating.
If I recall correctly, that's one thing that he's mentioned.
Hold on, I read this. My husband has come undone. Yeah, in more ways than one.
Well, they sure came in that last scene.
I'm sorry. The movie just practically begged me to make that joke.
Funeral.
Because she has been missing so much, if I recall correctly.
I mean, gotta give me some credit here. Like the movie, and now he's coming undone again. There you go.
Oh no! The movie gave you that joke.
He's coming undone in a bomb.
Wow, that was quick.
Is that why they're getting a divorce?
Well, I don't.
She looked like she didn't enjoy that one bit.
This is a reason why we have sex counselors. Because if you're in a relationship and this issue is a thing, it's a problem that needs to be taken care of because this can cause problems in the long run.
I see the irony. She's becoming the very woman that she said she did not want to become in the type of marriage that leads to an unhappy couple.
Yeah, what he just said.
But yeah, one thing that I noticed, if I roughly remember, that is mentioned is the trope Tublik stop caring. Where the entire cast of characters is not particularly likable.
Okay, so from what I can understand, the idea is that they were passionate in love at the start, but,
the
as
magic is pulling away. and she wants a child.
I feel like I would have liked this movie more if the movie was actually focused on tackling that subject matter instead of, like, I feel like if we had a movie that's entirely linear in its structure and purely focused on this, I think that I would have been more interested, because that's in my opinion, a more interesting premise.
Wait, hold on. Are you suggesting that the movie's going to shift gears? Because it seems like for the most part
No,
they've been
Jova,
focusing.
the fact that the movie is telling things a bit out of order. Oh,
Yeah,
that
okay.
that wasn't nice, Batman.
Uh-oh.
This took a sudden dark turn.
So again,
Well, you did tell me a couple of days ago that this is like 2.5 hours of horrible people doing horrible
yeah.
things.
Yeah,
And like,
I'll be honest, I kind of forgot about that scene.
this is also, well, again, this also contributes to potentially fueling the narrative. Again, is Ben Affleck's character potentially really responsible for this? And the clue seems to be pointing more and more that, yes, it's a likely possibility.
I have another theory.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Go
sure.
on.
She found out about the cheating and she did it to him.
Wait. Did what to him?
She staged her own kidnapping.
Oh.
Interesting. Also, an abandoned
She
shopping
would
mall.
definitely have good motivation to want to ruin his life.
I guess we'll have to see how things go.
Because they are pinning it a lot on him to the point where it's either a red herring or the movie is just being terribly unsubtle.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
He's a shit person either way, but
Yeah. Let me just-
Jason!
Jason!
press it. Oh, come on, guys. It's like
We're
in
even
this
are in
co-
the shopping mall. Come on.
Jason!
Oh my god, we are. But anyway, let me just explain something quickly to Joe. Okay. Now, what I mean, Joe, is that I actually really like the idea of a movie, a character-driven drama that is entirely focused on a couple's dynamic and how they have their own issues that they might need to overcome, like on their own, like something like Revolutionary Road, which is a really great movie. A movie with Leonardo
Hold on.
DiCaprio and Kate Winslet.
So apparently the wife came to these pushers,
These
let's call
homeless
them,
community.
looking for a gun.
Oh boy, this film, in terms of its American release, this film came out the same day as Annabelle and Left Behind.
I'm sorry, I have to mention that in the diary thing, it was written like for Valentine's Day, I thought I'd buy a gun.
Okay. I know this.
Hey, honey, happy Valentine's Day. Here's a gun.
Okay, I know that the.
Let's be the Second Amendment.
Okay, I know that the sequel to Annabelle was well received, but how was the first Annabelle?
Not particularly well. I do remember that the general consensus is that the even numbers of The Conjuring and the Animal movies tend to not particularly be great.
And as for Left Behind, yeah, no, look. Left
It's a
Behind.
movie with Nicolas Cage that doesn't use him at his over-the-topness.
Okay.
But it's doing something very wrong.
You want to know what's also frustrating about Left Behind? It adapts the story, but cuts off before the interesting parts, essentially.
And it teases for a sequel that never came because they wanted to do a Kickstarter and they failed miserably at
Okay.
it.
Two things. One, Shira, it said now that it's 3 days since she's gone. Second, okay, Teo, help me. I'm a bit like, who is this female character right here? I don't
The new
remember her.
mistress of Ben Affleck's character.
No, I know that, but was she even in the movie before she barged in here
Yes.
last night? What?
She
Okay.
did pop up in one or two of the flashback sequences because
Okay, so she's an old friend, basically. Okay, I genuinely forgot. Sorry.
Well, shoot.
I mean, it could be worse. You could be lying to her for 10 years.
Oh, God. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, so is this his sister or something?
Yes,
Yes.
his twin
Okay.
sister.
I found it interesting the fact that he tried to have this extra conjugal relationship knowing that his sister was in the house.
Okay,
Yeah.
are you just one of those guys who gets really turned on by the danger of potentially getting caught?
Probably. Allow me to recap this for you, Shira. We have our main character who cheats on his wife with one of his students.
Wow, that's all kinds of wrong.
Yeah.
Thank God they at least made it that she was in her 20s. Like, thank goodness
That
for
only
small
makes it.
favors.
That only makes it slightly less creepy.
Whatever we can get, Lives.
Yeah,
We'll take what we can get.
yeah, small favors.
Oh no.
Gosh, Ben Affleck, I don't know how Sora can help you with that.
Kingdom Hearts After Dark verse. Kingdom Hearts After Dark verse.
So
Please.
so what happens is Ben
Okay,
Affleck's
maybe
character.
the reason why he's like this is because his heart is corrupted by the darkness. Don't
Oh,
you
hey,
know?
Tyler
I
Perry.
got it, guys. I got it. Ben Affleck's character becomes so evil that he actually turns into a heartless, and that's the big heartless boss that we have to face.
Sure.
Okay, I see what's happening. It's about the media pretty much defaulting to...
NNL. I don't think that's a channel.
Wait,
Also-
they're blaming him for the disappearance.
Again,
See, this is exactly what I told you about.
classic Frank Millerism. Have a talk show like this, trying to put a bit of a general opinion into, in this case, the viewer of what could be the narrative the movie spinning. In this case,
See, the thing-
is it possible that Ben Affleck's character is the real culprit?
From
in
what
this?
I can understand...
Volvar KFC.
Hang on,
the
yes,
thing-
Pedro?
See, the thing is, Shira, the reason this is so hard for me to grasp is because I can tell you that the media in my country is nowhere near this quick to judge. So it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around this. to be
My
honest
guess
with
is
you.
that...
Like, I know this is a movie, but as I said before, this shit legit happens.
Yeah,
Like,
Hi, Kitty.
my guess is like what this movie is touching base on is stuff like, social media bias, or in the case of suspecting things, also sometimes the gender bias, because trust me, in a lot of cases you will definitely see a spouse,
Hi.
particularly a man, kind of accused of a disappearance or potential death
Okay.
of a wife in
I'll ju-
cases like these.
I'll just say this. I'll just say this. Like personally, I find the assumption to this shit just because you took a picture of a random person to automatically jump to stuff like this. That's just no.
Oh,
It's
it is
literally
dumb,
like-
but it happens, unfortunately.
Oh no, I know. It's just that
I think
don't know,
this is
it
another
feels-
thing that the movie tries to go through, like in, for example, just right now with the talk show thing about how the explosion of a case have consequences of people starting to assume entering a parasocial relationship with the people
Yeah.
involved in it and trying to start assuming what they did and whatnot. Everyone happens to go through this all the time, unfortunately, and it just never results in good things.
I feel like this
Also,
like
movie...
people even joke, like, oh, they always blame the boyfriend first.
Also, Ben, I know that the character has a name, but I'm just gonna call him Ben Affleck. Also, Ben Affleck, please don't harm the cat.
No,
No, I get
Fits
this,
of
but I was
rage.
about to mention. Apparently, this is a thing that the movie does a bit better. Not in the same way they abuse the cat in the book, but the book doesn't mention too much about him feeding the cat regularly because the book mentioned that the wife was more caring for the cat. So the movie technically improves on this aspect.
I guess.
Now, to what I have observed, it seems like the movie is definitely calling out that sort of assumption here. Like,
Yes, I think it's one of the things that the movie is trying to portray as well. Potentially the over apprehensiveness that a lot of people. Again, this was 2014. This was 2 years after the whole thing about Coney 2012 happened. So it's not a bit too dissimilar for what happened there.
I
Yeah, the
think
TV show, the talk show thing was presented as very icky. So
There's
I-
another comparison that I can make, but I want to wait until the end of the movie for it because I think it might be more poignant.
As you all know.
it seems like, okay, the talk show bit was to show two sides of the argument, with people assuming this guy is obviously the bad guy because he doesn't act the way we expect a mourning husband to act, and some guy pretty much saying, well, dudes, just because he's not acting this way, that doesn't mean he's guilty. And I
But
do
the
get
truth
the...
of the matter should be mostly that if they should just stick with the basic, as in, if people know something about this missing person, we should just say it and stop.
I do get the feeling that what this movie is going to get is that despite the fact that we see this guy as a scumbag in some ways, he's not the ultimate scumbag to the point of wanting to murder his wife.
Oh, sure. Well,
I love the wife.
also that bit he was just saying, "Oh, my wife is charming and wise," and I'm just like, I haven't really seen enough of her for that line to really land, personally.
Keep in mind that this is also like a public speech that he's doing in order to actually,
I
boost
guess.
up.
And
the
keep in mind,
searching
even
party.
we know that even if they were in love at some point, their relationship at later points was not the best.
What?
Pregnant?
You know what this reminds me of, Dwebs? It reminds me of that time in the early days where some people tried to say that it was actually Madeline McCann's parents who somehow stage everything.
So apparently Amy was supposedly
Or at least
pregnant.
that's what the neighbor is claiming, which, again, if anything, sounds more like the masses have been, unleashed upon this guy.
Did he know she was
Again.
pregnant?
Again, that's another question, is she
Ben,
really or not?
Also, Ben, you need Tom Cruise to give you some classes. What kind of running is that? Come on.
This is more awkward running.
My guess is like, well, he initially just wanted to walk it off to try and salvage the dignity.
And then he noticed people had to sprint a bit.
Oh, sure. It's not a natural problem. I'm just joshing around.
Yeah. Also...
Dun, dun, dun.
So either he knew about this, or his wife's been leading a life that he was not aware of.
Or they know an amazing photo doctor.
True.
Whoops. By the way, Nick, how's your sex life? Well,
Oof.
that's a good motive.
I'm beginning to think your theory of the wife setting him up is starting to look likely, Shiroi. Again, unless he is just like...
Dun, dun, dun. You are the father!
Or maybe not. We don't know.
Don't
sure,
talk to me or my wife or my wife's son ever again.
Hey, sure, for a moment I thought he was going to do the same thing that kid does in Before the Storm. I'm not upset!
I'm fine!
Poor cat. Oh, maybe he doesn't give a shit anyway. Nice flashes out of the house, I guess. That's what he's thinking.
So far, aside from the questionable dialogue, although to be fair, everyone's been having that. To be fair, his sister's the most sympathetic character out of all of this. She's finding out all this shit about
I
her
think even
brother,
the police commissioner.
and she's in the middle of all of it.
I think even the police commissioner is fine.
I do find it an interesting dynamic, though. For all his crap stuff that he has done, does he deserve to take, like, the ultimate scalding for something that he may not have done?
Again, we still don't know everything, Jova. Again, for all we know, it might be a case of her testing him and him failing miserably because of that.
One hell of a test!
Maybe he really is just this asshole through and through.
Maybe she just didn't want kids with you.
Cool story, bro.
Since this movie's oh god, I just realized something. Since this movie's message is well, one of the messages is presuming is bad. Well, I mean, it obviously is, but fuck,
I'm actually curious, Waves. I don't know if you actually remember, but what did push you to see this in theaters?
The premise sounded interesting.
What was the premise
Plus-
advertised as?
Plus, I heard a lot of good things about David Fincher, so just
Again,
went to see it.
I would say David Fincher, for the most part, seems to have earned his reputation. I mean, granted, from what I've heard about the apparent big bads being Gone Girl and Social Network, and his other movie. Okay. Okay. We all agree he's not at fault for how Alien 3 turned out. Like,
sure.
Mind you, I will mention this more when we get to that, Jova. He did have his own vision in mind that had things that I did not personally agree with, that did not ended up becoming true.
fair,
Thankfully.
yeah. Although that was his directorial
personally-
debut. Yes, Pedro?
Personally, I think he peaked with 7.
Anyway, that's,
Listen, no one's fed me since you've been home. Can you get on that?
No,
Thank
like I
you.
said, Ben Affleck has been feeding the cat.
I think the sister is the one doing it. I think.
No.
We have seen
Ben
scenes
Affleck has
of
been
the
taking care of the
being
cat.
pampered and Ben
Alright,
Affleck
no,
giving it
alright.
food.
As I was
Like
thinking
like
about
we said,
Yeah, you have no clue, do you?
like we said, this is the thing that the movie does compared to the book, where it's not. It's not even. Again, it's nothing that is mentioned. The contrary, it's just not mentioned at all. The fact that he took care of it, just that Amy was more fond of the cat than he.
I'm
As I
guessing
was-
when the writer wrote the book, he or she just assumed that people would automatically assume that he's been taking care of the cat. No need to mention that, maybe. I don't know.
As I was saying earlier about the whole part of assuming is bad, but yet part of looking at and talking about movies while you're watching them is assuming, and we've been doing that. Oh god, we're just as bad as the characters.
Oh, wait,
Well,
because
well,
humans
that's
are
not
more
really the-
I think
complex
Dwibs
than
is
that.
being sarcastic.
Yeah.
We're evil.
But yes, also another proof of it that the police officer in this case is actually more competent. When her colleague suggested, let's just arrest him and close the case or anything, she's like, no, let's fucking do this investigation properly.
I mean, it's clear that police officer there doesn't like Ben
Nick,
Affleck's character.
Nick.
Yeah,
like-
Nick Affleck.
Nicholas Affleck.
Cut to Ben Affleck pulling Butter's father thing and
Wood.
killing him in the back with a shovel in the basement or something.
Of course,
Wait.
would.
Wood. So I have to, wait. What do you mean by wood? I have to get. So I have to get hard.
We found a Scooby clue.
Is that? Oh, that not that kind of wood. Sorry.
I think it's not a Scooby snack. Like.
Where are you going?
He's actually going to the same place because he got to the realization that what the cops have just found. He resolved the riddle of clue 3, which is Amy's diary.
Well, would you look at that?
Uh-oh.
And that's probably going to be the big clue that really makes him look bad.
Also, is their drum machine broken?
I'm guessing that's supposed to simulate the heart pumping.
Yeah.
Oh
Uh-oh.
boy.
That was not an appropriate reaction.
No, it was not.
Sony!
Interesting,
But
because
Fox released this movie.
drone and a present.
Is there a hand in there? There's a hand in there.
It's funny considering
Then a
what Seven
present,
does.
then a little present with confetti comes out of that, like April Fools.
And now we switch to, if I recall correctly, the present. There we go. Actually, not technically, the morning of a kidnapping, if I can.
I thought I was going to say the morning of gone.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, that's what he just said.
Oh my god, so you were right, Shiroi. She did frame him for... Wait, hold on. But we're only halfway through the movie. Isn't it kind of early for us to be figuring this out?
Maybe there's something more than we don't know yet.
maybe this was the plan, but he
We're
does
still
indeed
90
end up killing her.
we still have 90
I don't
minutes
know.
of movie left.
Yeah,
wait, oh
this
my
is a
God.
long movie.
Wait,
And there you go. She actually did study it via true crime documentaries.
wait a minute.
She
Is
studied
this...
the relationship with the neighbor.
Is this the movie where Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss originated from?
Not originated, but you can argue it's applicable. There you go. She used his credit card. She emptied his Steam wallet.
Isn't that a crime?
Technically, yeah. But I get the idea she made sure to cover her tracks.
Do they?
I get the idea
uh,
I get the idea that her cynicism, is for let's build a story that will melt the heart of the audience, but because they're so easy to manipulate.
And she wasn't even pregnant.
Isn't this also a crime in some
Yes,
areas?
Yes!
Everything here is a
Speaking
crime, Shira. It's like I've told you, this is just shitty people doing shitty things for 2
So...
hours.
Medical
oh,
record is quite very illegal.
so, I'm gonna go on the
This
record
is
and
illegal,
say
you know.
that, for as terrible as Nick is, his wife's a goddamn psychopath.
If anything,
They're
okay,
all psychopaths.
one thing that I do remember a bit is more of the fact that because of their respective behavior, in reality, they might really be made for each other.
Oh
see,
my
Shira,
God.
They're both just as terrible as the other. They're perfect.
Jesus, lady!
So...
Again, the perfect crime.
I mean, I can see why Rosamund Pike got all those award nominations. She's very good at playing a psychopath.
Okay, I'll give her credit. They actually do go through the steps, and it does seem like she did think about this very methodically, within the realm of realistic probabilities that at least she could factor things to work to her favor. At least again, I haven't seen the whole movie yet, but so far it doesn't seem like they're doing the spout of, oh, well, she was so insane, but when you think about it, could she really have planned all this? They do go into accounts. For one thing, she was a writer. She
Even
definitely
the
did
fact
her
of making it
research.
just and changing, of course, the alarms code.
Also, the movie was being a bit meta right there. Start with the fairy tale vibes, which is not a lie. It will make Nick and Amy seem likable and shit like that. So that was 2 hours gone. So that was the movie being a bit self-aware there.
There was also something even before that I noticed, even with some of them shading the name of the bar, saying how meta.
I could be watching an actual true crime documentary on Netflix right now.
See,
I
the
was
thing is-
instead thinking about back to when we did again stuff like Xenogears and the fact that despite both Ellie and Faye having their own bad qualities, and anything, they still in the end try to be good people overall, and you could tell they were made for each other even with their wars. Comparing
Ellie
instead
and
to
Faye
this
are
couple,
actually good characters. It's
well,
not
like
even-
I said, they do have obviously their quirks, but sometimes do shine through. Again, Ellie staring at Faye in the shower. But again, in the end, you can understand where each of them is coming from. But in this, instead, is emphasized properly. Instead, how both Nick and Amy are
Big
terrible
lots.
people of just being their own flavor. Nick is someone who immediately gives up and actually cheats on her, while instead Amy is an incredibly cynic woman who just to think about how the world is going and as such wants to teach a lesson to
Okay.
people.
Oh my god, now that I think of it, I think this movie ended up getting parodied quite a bit.
Yeah, that's okay. I wanted to save this for the final thought, but not this bit. But the entire point of the research that actually snowballs and people turn against the person who is the partner of the person who got kidnapped. I could swear there was at least one Simpsons episode that did a parody of this story.
I think Robot Chicken also parodied this with a Barbie sketch too.
So yeah, Amy essentially changed her entire identity to complete her scheme.
So I guess it really does ask... Well, actually no, I mean, if I had to pick between the two, I kinda would have to go with Nick. Oh, don't get me wrong, Nick's done terrible things, but framing someone for murder is, well, pretty frickin' low.
Seriously? You're gonna go this far?
To
Oh.
simulate abuse.
No,
Yeah.
I know what it is. It's just that like Jova said, this woman is a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
It's just...
Again, it's a case of over cynicism. I think that is somewhat common in David Fincher movies. You see it at least in both Fight Club and Seven. It is present. Seven is the entire motivation of the killer, which ultimately gets slightly confirmed.
You see what I mean, Shiro?
Uncomfy.
You see, Shiro? You are terrible, and you are terrible. We are all terrible.
I do really have to.
So yeah, let's go back to Nick and see what the present is.
let Jova
What's
finish.
in the box?
I'm still pretty sure it's a hand.
Go on, Jova.
So apparently she was hiding all the stuff in his sister's woodshed. So one thing I wonder.
No,
what-
puppets. Punch and Judy. In case you forgot, in case you actually don't know the nursery rhyme, it's about domestic abuse.
Well,
Yeah,
there
no, I'm familiar with the puppets.
Well, Shiro, they are things you put on your hands, so
Honestly, I would have preferred the hand.
It's like the joke about pushing up Robo's did the one episode where she wrote with puppets and two couples are flirting and she imitates the guy's voice. She's like, and later I can show my end up here.
So basically what we have here is kind of like a soap opera-ish version of The Fugitive.
A bit. Only that in this case, both parties are terrible for different reasons.
Yeah.
So one question though.
Where do
what-
we go? Yes.
What chance does Nick have? Also, I do have to wonder. So, one bout of controversy I did pick up from the movie was akin to Twilight. There was apparently a character that a lot of people thought was a great example for a female role model and whatnot. To the
And
which
you
point,
figure it out already. It's ideally Amy that people are thinking her overtly cynicism. It's a good, message for all people or couple who actually have, domestic abuse.
also because she's strong, independent, and all
the
that.
problem
It's
is
like-
that if you noticed enough, she assumes a lot. For example, like the couple in the car, for example, she was passing by. And so yes, she even contemplated potentially suicide to make sure everything goes as planned.
Didn't you, let me ask you something, Amy. Wasn't calling the police at all a possibility in this scenario?
Oh, it was, but okay, basically her mentality seems to be, nope, he deserves the highest of punishment.
I'll just say this and be done with this particular subject. Like, you having a person in your life who's shitty to you doesn't excuse you from becoming shitty yourself.
Okay, to the movie's credit, it does pretty much call her out as a psychopath. Like,
Oh,
she
yeah.
is definitely not
Again, it's
there
more the
in
fan
head.
reaction that tried to make her more sympathetic in a case of, I think it's called Ron the Death Eater.
Oh, no,
No, no, no,
I
no.
get that. My
Okay,
thing-
what's
Draco
your...
in labor pants. So
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
my
Draco
bad.
in leather pants.
I get that. What I mean is that, like, the whole thing that you were talking about how apparently people see Amy as an example of a great example of a strong female character, and I'm just like,
Is this meant to be a parody on how that trope can be done badly? Because there are plenty of great examples of that, but this is
Okay.
she's using Windows 98.
This is a
What
movie.
year do you live in?
in 2014.
Yeah, the movie's supposed to be set in the
Okay.
same year. Of,
Okay.
Like the joke is that it's a public library is outdated in terms of tech. I know that it's a thing, but jeez.
Go on, Jova.
Apparently, she's, like, out in the middle of nowhere, so this cabin probably has, like, older tech in that regard.
Okay.
It's supposed to be basically a library, if I recall
Probably
correctly.
Based
something
on
that
what I'm
also
aware-
can't be traceable, I'm guessing.
Okay, I'm not exactly an expert on the matter, but I'm confident trying to read current day websites on a Windows 98 Internet Explorer doesn't really work.
Or at the very
Oh,
least,
you
it
can
shows-
actually.
The closest
Well-
example that I can remember seeing, hold on, was Joel from Vinesauce trying to destroy computers with old OSs. And I can tell that, yes, on Windows 98 you can still see, Internet Explorer websites, but it's a hit and miss.
It's a hit and miss because remember, like, Flash wasn't a thing yet in 98.
It's possible.
So-
Granted,
This is why the Space Jam original website is still constructed the way it is.
it
I'm
could.
pretty sure that it was only until very recent years that my local library actually got better computers. Because the thing is,
Yeah.
like, I don't think they feel the need to actually update them because they're mostly used for kids to do homework. Like,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
they're not for like any, like outlandish use or anything. So it's like they just need the bare minimum and that's it.
Mm-hmm. It could also be the case where it was an old computer monitor hooked up to a newer computer module.
Yeah, that's also true.
Oh, this bit. I think I remember this bit.
The bar.
Yes, so
And there you
the
go.
Barbett's sister.
So this is when she discovered the cheating.
Yeah.
Oh, she did know.
Mm-hmm.
The big question is this no CGI?
I wouldn't be surprised, Teo. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, there seems to be at least some snowflakes, so at least we do some artificial stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, usually when it comes to cinema, they usually create a specific machines that do this
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
effect.
the Titros no machine.
Yeah.
I thought he loved me. He did me in the library, in the history
I
section.
want to. I guess in terms of behavior, I want to compare it to another movie that had something similar going on, Basic Instinct, where it's supposed to have a leading female character that puts men in their hands and manipulates them in the way she wants, including crime drama and anything. So I'm guessing they
Days
were trying to
Gone.
do something similar to this.
I
Sure,
wonder.
I think we have found.
yes?
I think we have found the audience proxy. That woman that is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
Okay, because I apologize.
That's my opinion on a lot of the movie, to be honest.
Well, that's the thing. Again, I can tell you that for the camera, I do not have that ass. Sorry.
God, Shira, you were saying?
I was gonna say maybe the library was actually where he met her because she's one of his students.
No, remember, the scene where she found information was separated. The one where she found out the cheating was a flashback.
I'm wondering if that's where he met the partner he's cheating with
Yeah, I
No,
actually really like this character.
while they were having their library sex.
let me check. He's played by.
Oh, this guy?
Yeah.
Right,
Tyler
so
Perry.
apparently,
Tyler Perry, too.
I think he wants to hire him as an attorney.
Like Tyler Perry is actually very charismatic in this movie. Like
I can't keep remembering the name, but it escapes me a bit. Oh, the Medea movies, of course.
Well, okay. To give Tyler Perry credit, he's a very charismatic guy in the film
and here he's
industry.
played a more straightforward, serious role.
Okay, the Medea movies are an acquired
The examples
taste.
that I've seen do not convince me.
Okay, if you saw Medea Christmas, that's
No,
one of
not
the...
just that. Again, I tried to scourge up a video on the internet to see a sample even on the stand-up shows.
I'd say Tyler Perry's a good actor, and he definitely means well with every movie he makes. They aren't all winners, and I'll say a lot of his Medea stage plays, some of them don't translate to film as well. Although, he's one of the few guys who thinks, hey, maybe I should actually record my live stage shows for DVD as well.
And sometimes with better results.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Old friend of yours? So, I guess now that I think we're in the second act?
Well, yeah, we're past the halfway point for a long time now.
Yeah. So yeah.
So, I guess now the movie is essentially a battle of wits between Nick and Amy.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he pleaded guilty despite supposedly being
But
innocent.
that still beat his ass in life.
It comes down to, again, social bias and,
But yeah, apparently that happened with he saw Amy, apparently.
Hmm.
$20? You kept count? First she buys him ties, then she buys him the passageway to passion.
Shirley, I think at this point the wife is the worst person at this point.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. I guess that's supposed to be the irony thing. She who fights monsters becomes the worst monster herself.
Don't get me wrong, Ben Affleck is still a horrible dick. It's just that, Jesus. Ooh, my.
So yeah, and again, in another display of charm, apparently Amy, guilt tripped into fake rape for this guy. Apparently that was before her relationship with Nick.
Shiroi, just like with Liquid Snake, I'm gonna say.
Oh my God!
I don't think even. I'm going.
The guy who plays Tommy, he's Scott McNairy. He was also in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
So,
okay.
Union.
Okay, there's wait. How are you watching analog TV in the US post 2009?
We still have that.
I guess, considering also the tech of the library back in old PC with Windows 98, I get the idea this particular place is still a bit behind in terms of tech overall.
Yeah.
Like
One of the last places to make the switch, maybe.
It seems to be a place out in the middle of nowhere, the boondocks,
You'd be
essentially.
very surprised with, because this very year, 2023, we're recording this, my country essentially had to put up, proper regulations for complete changes from analog TV to digital, because a lot of people still had it, so the state had to actually accommodate for the passage to digital.
Shiroi, I'm gonna say the same thing I said about Liquid Snake when it comes to Amy. I don't think even therapy can help the soulmate at this point.
Oh boy!
I'm gonna label this woman beyond saving, Shiroi.
Wow, what a class! She spit into her Mountain Dew.
All because she
How dare you?
She's that petty over, being called potentially uppity. I mean, all she did was frame a man for murder.
Yeah.
But suddenly now
There's no
I'm the
don't
bad
drink
guy.
Jobba, everything, and frame another man for rape. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, Shiro, you're gonna say the same thing like back then as well, like that her therapist would need a therapist.
Funny, okay, not funny actually, but interestingly enough, the whole fake raping thing that actually did happen here in the UK pretty recently. A woman got found guilty of doing that to like quite a couple of men.
Oh yeah.
It's also one plot point in Rise of the Shield Hero.
Oh boy, Rise of a Shield Hero. Great manga.
A lot of people think that's
the anime.
only what happens in that fucking anime, but it's not.
Nick
Probably
doing
because
Negligent Son?
It's probably not helped by the anime emphasizing it, but yeah. Oh no.
I mean, from what I understand, the person instigating that got a comeuppance.
Yes,
Yes.
more in the anime.
They're
Oh my
siblings,
God.
Of course.
Oh, they're really like doing
Okay.
this?
Again, it's the whole thing about the more this thing is snowballing, the more people start speculating bad things, and the right
So
people
I'm
get ruined
guessing
as a
you're
result.
So is this also common? Where siblings being close to each other somehow causes the media to think there's twincest going on?
Okay.
I don't-
As cynical as they may sound, I can't believe Fox News starting, news services like this.
This
This
is
seems to be like it's supposed to be parodying something like Fox. Like,
Like he
Oh
said-
my
like
god,
he
she
said,
literally did a happy high kick.
she could have skipped for joy. What a bitch.
That's the thing, Shiroi. You say that, Shiroi, but this is supposed to be a serious drama thriller. This is not meant to be a comedy. So a parody like that is kind of out of place here.
Okay, I will say this.
I think it's more black comedy than anything.
I will say this. The first act felt relatively grounded, but in the second act, especially with Amy pretty much being an over-the-top villain, it does feel a bit like we're getting to the point where they're pushing up against satire.
Alright, let's see what... Okay, this supposed to take place in 2012, not 2014, but still.
But basically, this is a thing where, essentially, in order for people to feel good about themselves for, accusing someone, they will do everything in their power to demonize the person who is the subject.
I've seen enough internet and social media recently that I can't believe this. So again, if anything, this movie might have been slightly ahead of its time.
Oh god, yeah.
I forgot who. Someone made a perfect statement about Twitter is the place where if you can say I like bagels, people will come out to you and say so you don't like waffles.
All right, so maybe.
And here's
okay,
Neil
You
Patrick
fucking
Harris,
waffle hater.
90 minutes in.
maybe he'll save the movie.
Barney,
knows?
did you have sex with Amy?
Probably.
I wait. So basically, wait. I got Cal Olaf. How did you go from that to living in the shithole you do a few years from now?
Apparently, Amy just turns everything she touches to ash. And
so
yes,
this-
Oh, hi, Neil. When do you get
Amy-
here?
So Amy was his first girlfriend. All right, let's see.
I guess it's the case of the How I Met Your Mother was not paying enough.
no. Remember, How I Met Your
It's
Mother.
finished, apparently.
It wasn't paying anymore, so...
Like, that's the thing, though. Ironically, this is like the opposite of how Barney would be acting. If it were Barney, he'd totally be boasting about having nailed Amy.
So he also is also a shitty person based on what Ben
There's nothing
heard.
based in this.
Okay.
No.
To the movie's credit, so far it does not feel like it's glorifying any of these characters and
Oh
saying,
no.
No.
But yeah, no, I mean,
does not. Sorry.
I will say this. This feels like it's becoming a more serious version of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
And now people are starting harassing his sister.
I think my thing, Jova, is that because every single major character in this movie is a horrible person, it makes the movie kind of hard to enjoy. Honestly, like there's no.
I was actually
I can
about.
tell you that, sure, I still remember one thing or two, but overall, I think the main appeal, quote unquote, would be the mystery to me. As in, not only for the first half of what is the truth, but for the second half, where are we going with this?
I was
Has the
about.
sister actually done anything bad yet?
No,
Not as far as we
absolutely. If anything,
know.
As we noted, she actually is one of the better characters, like the commissioner of police.
She actually did
I
believe
just
her.
want to see how long that lasts is all.
She actually did believe. she actually did believe her brother about the wife pretty much stashing all that stuff in her shed, essentially, to frame him. So she
Elvis is
seems
in
to
the
be one of the good
story.
ones so far.
Okay, guys, plot twist. Turns out Elvis is alive in Missouri.
You know,
Or
it's...
Oh God! Can you imagine the press? You know, someone from the press, because they've been fabricating all that horrible stuff about them. I can imagine it now. Man, twin-cest couple encourage lawyer to watch them do it or something like that.
You know, it's funny, really, because Tyler Perry tends to play an attorney in the Medea movies as well. If I recall correctly, is like Medea's nephew or son. Yeah, also played by Tyler Perry, the wonders of technology these days. But regardless, it'd be funny if they tried to suggest that this was the same character from the Medea films.
Reminder that there's still 1 more hour of movie left. I feel
Okay.
this
To be
movie
fair,
could-
I do feel where they're coming from. Like, the game is afoot in this battle of wits and how we'll see how we are supposedly
Where are
going
we
to
going
defeat
to
the
begin
great
with,
evil. Or greater evil.
I've heard of the term banality of evil, and somehow this movie does obtain it, but not in the way I think it was intended.
I will say this movie is keeping my attention just enough.
I wouldn't. I have to admit, though, I wouldn't have gone to see this in theaters myself.
No,
but it's more
me
of a
neither.
case of the genre. And again, so far I'm preferring stuff like Fight Club and Seven over this, admittedly. But again,
No,
movie's not over
definitely.
yet.
Let me put it like this. This is the kind of movie that, just going off of initial impressions, I would not have gone out of my way to see it. But I don't feel like I'm wasting my time having seen it. It's just one of those cases where, oh, if an opportunity like this arises, sure. But no, not really something I'd go out of my time recreational for. I will give them credit. They are not
And again,
pulling...
Saigon.
They are not pulling any punches with just how much social bias can indeed ruin an innocent, well, in regards to the crime, innocent person's life. And the people connected to him or her. So...
I'll also say it kept my attention for like the first hour and a bit, but it seems like they're really trying to pad it out at this point.
So it seems like the solution is, of course, find Amy. Yep, let's play Ace Attorney and
So
just
we're
find
literally
her.
chasing Amy.
I was to say, is this chasing Amy now?
So you're saying Shiroi, that there's something about Amy.
Okay. Now I have to wonder. Did they specifically name the character Amy just for those?
It's probably just a common name that they just chose. In this case, the author just decided
That
to
may be
choose.
true too, but it still works on those principles. So I'm taking it.
Wait, the Ozarks?
Have you all been cheated on? Like everyone in
Yes,
this vicinity?
everybody's been cheated on. You got a cheater. You are a cheater. Everybody's a cheater, Shiroi. Everybody's a cheater.
Hooray.
So, wait, the Ozarks. God, I gotta resist making an Ozark joke.
And Shiroi, and I'm picturing someone somewhere watching this movie going, I really get this. This really speaks to me.
Again, that might have been why some people apparently gravitated to Amy as a role model. Again, pretty messed up still.
What was I gonna...
Oh, I thought you were gonna say I thought they said we're mostly single for a second, but
Have you ever had one of those moments, Shiroi, where you're watching a piece of media or reading or whatever, and you're like, someone actually thinks, you know what? I get this. This speaks to me. and you're like, and you don't know how the hell someone could think that. But
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. I'm not sure of Shiroi, by the way. I genuinely believe this movie could have easily been trimmed down to 2 hours. It feels like there's a lot of slow stuff just for the hell of it.
I can agree with that, yeah.
But
Like,
one thing that's happening, however, is that Amy is becoming paranoid, as it's the typical conclusion with characters like her. Jesus. No, I did not kill Mysterio. Fuck off.
So, from what I can understand, is the main idea with Ben Affleck's character is he's the guy who was so wrapped up in himself that he thought, he was charming enough that he could have the charisma. But the problem was, as soon as the opportunity to turn on him came, it turns out he was not nearly as popular as he thought, and the world was practically just waiting for him to fail.
Again, I see also a couple of parallels to what happened to Joseph Kony with the Joseph Kony thing in 2012, but I think the book was written before that. Let me check.
It actually came out the same year, 2012.
Huh.
Look, Ben, I'm sorry, but the way your Batman was written in 2016 just turned people off. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to do some things about this.
They're starting to suspect that she might be hiding something.
What?
Oh!
Hey, Shiro, we're realizing something right now.
Uh-oh.
I'll wait then. Alright.
Well, shoot, had her figured out.
Someone is outsmarted, Amy.
Yes, please. Well, depends. Just call the cops.
They want to
Doesn't
get
anybody
into-
in this movie believe in calling the police?
Well, okay, they pretty much pointed out that they know she's not going to call the police because she clearly has something to hide. Like, if she calls the police, eventually they might recognize her, which would mean that her whole plan to have her husband go down would fail. I guess that is her comeuppance of sorts.
Okay, never mind. Then I think I misread that scene. I was talking about the other two calling the cops now that they found out about what this woman has been doing.
No,
No,
they took
no,
advantage
no.
of her instead in order to take her money.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Never
knowing
mind
that
then.
she would not call the cops.
Uh-oh, it looks like she's starting to get sloppy. I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to feel bad, but if anything, this would ignite Schadenfreude because, again,
It's called karma.
yeah, while others have been terrible, she has been the absolute worst.
I think
Yeah.
In Days Gone.
Shiro, I'm
Yes.
starting to think Amy is not a very nice lady.
Anyway,
Do tell.
the author book wrote 2 books before this one, Sharp Objects in Dark Places, and wrote a short story after this in 2014. After this, she only did some very minor things, like non-fictional stuff.
I do like how Tyler Perry's character does point out one of the issues with Ben Affleck's character. Now, even when he is legit trying to sound like he cares, he can't help but give a smug smirk. Again, it's that bout where, again, even if it's something that you can't control, That is something that will affect public perception of you,
I love-
unfortunately.
I love how he's just randomly throwing those reds at him, and it's just like...
It's his way of training him, essentially. Get it right, and we won't throw this at you. The conditioning.
So basically, anytime he says something that would fuck everything up, he throws something at Tyler Perry throws something at him.
Ha!
mean-
He caught that one.
Yeah, see, out of all the characters in this movie, the sister and Tyler Perry are like the only people who haven't done anything really fucked up.
Like I said,
Yeah.
also did the police commissioner.
Like, they acknowledge that Nick has done terrible things, but they are still trying to get actual justice here.
I swear,
together we
I
can-
would,
Oh
See
god,
justice,
she's going to the casino.
I swear, I would at the very least, I would at the very least appreciate the movie if the movie tried to do a whole thing where the plot was that everybody was on it and everybody's terrible, and it's just like,
And look
hooray!
who shows up there.
Oh boy.
We already did a movie where everyone was in on it, and it was a much better movie.
What movie was that? Oh yeah.
Murder on
You
the
know,
Orient Express
yeah.
1974.
You know, it's funny. This is the second movie within a week that we've seen that involves a potential murder mystery that delves into the karma of different parties and how deserved a crime was and how deserved it is that the culprit gets away with it. Like, shoot, that's one heck of a coincidence when you think about it.
Okay, to be honest, I believe Rosamund Pike is good at acting this bit, but I don't really believe Amy's very good at acting this bit.
I think... Wait, what?
That's the point. Like,
Yeah.
despite the, it's more the fact that again she has managed
Well, that's
to
what this is saying.
seduce. No, I wasn't getting there. I think the fact that she's supposed to be able to seduce people and cast them under a spell because of this. But in this case, it's more, Neil Patrick Harris' character who's buying this.
Oh, I just bit.
Hmm?
The Nolan girls.
I think it might be a group that did the numbers at the bar, at the casino, maybe.
Possibly.
Wait, I've seen this person somewhere else.
Yeah. Hey, Lives, look, it's Stacy from House.
Oh,
Huh.
okay.
Wait. Oh, Sella
she was,
Ward.
She was a major character in the second season of Doctor
Oh
House,
my
though.
god, she was
I've
in
seen her somewhere
Independence Day.
else.
She was in Independence Day Resurgence.
Okay, there's that too.
She was in The Bads, The Day After
The
Tomorrow.
Fugitive.
Oh yeah, The Fugitive.
She's been in a lot of stuff.
Runaway Bride, My Fellow
I
Americans.
want to hear this. That's how. Is she?
Maybe it's a PR statement. Also, I recognize the actress because she was listed in New York.
The girl with the "come on me" tits.
Is that the porn parody title of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
I'm sorry. I just think these types of lines are a bit out of place in the movie with this tone.
Is this your idea of exciting?
Hey, sure,
No,
she's a
sure,
TV host. Big ratings.
No, here. Didn't you just hear? Their idea of exciting is a girl with the "come on me" tits, as they said. Apparently. Not my line, the movie's line.
Oh boy.
I know.
You sure about this, Nick?
Well, he said he wants to do this, so despite the insistence of everyone else, so let's see how it pays off.
You could cut the tension in that room.
Oh boy.
I'm sure he's going to stick to that.
So, I'll admit, when I was expecting a battle of wits between him and Amy, I was kind of expecting something a bit more...
Direct.
Possibly. Like, I get it, you know, realistically speaking, this would be the way to do it.
It's more the
It's-
entire
it's what I
point
keep
of
saying.
on one hand, Amy is trying to prove that she can actually handle herself, and you know, despite the fact that everything is pointing at the fact that she's fucking up, you know, right? Despite the fact that she tried to be this master and manipulative of a person. On the other hand, Nick is instead has to deal with the accusations thrown at him and trying to bounce as best as he can in order to demonstrate his innocence, well, to a certain point, because
That
the
being
cheating was
said-
still a
And
thing.
one of those methods involves him having to air out that dirty laundry.
That being said, yeah, what Jovo just said was actually exactly what I'm talking about. Like, a more direct battle of wits would have been technically less realistic, but in my opinion, would have made the movie more entertaining and interesting.
Let me put it like this. I don't initially mind them handling this realistically, but it doesn't feel like we're reaching a climax point, or at least it doesn't feel like stuff is escalating. And maybe that's the point, that it's handled mundane and whatnot, but in that case, maybe we could have cut down on the time spent on it then.
Yeah, it's what me and Shiro have been saying. This could have easily been a 2-hour movie. It doesn't really need to be this long.
Like, shoot, are we still in the second act, or have we reached the third and final act yet? Because...
Well, we're technically 2/3 in. We're less than an hour away.
you'd be surprised. Sometimes...
hold on.
Yeah,
Dun,
Barney is
dun.
monitoring the entire house.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the house that character wishes he had.
That's not foreboding at all.
No, the
Yeah.
music isn't either.
I mean, again, though,
Anyway,
kind of a weird sense
Days
of...
Gone.
kind of a weird sense of karma, though.
Well, I'm gonna give this movie some credit. At least the way the time text makes sense and is chronological, unlike Frank Miller's. So there's that.
I have a date with Barney Stilton. I have a date with Barney Stilton. How cool is that?
Frank
Just to
Miller's
give-
Gone Girl.
Just to give you an idea, Shiro, the way Frank Miller writes in his comics, sometimes he'll have a
Unnecessary
20
repetition.
He'll have a 20 hours ago flashback, and then within that 20 hours ago flashback, he'll have a 2 hours ago flashback.
Although
And
I
it
think,
makes things so confusing to follow. You know what I
I
mean?
think the presence of cynicism and you know, the fact that there's no real central likable character in this is more fitting towards instead Mark Millar's storytelling.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting Mark Millerisms from this more so than Frank Millerisms. Like, Frank
sure,
Miller actually can still make a likable character. Mark
No,
Miller.
besides, there's nowhere near enough politics in this to be a Frank Miller story.
Okay, so, if I may, I don't even think it's impossible to make a story where almost all the main characters are assholes. You want to know one of the best bouts of media that's managed to pull that off? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The
Well,
characters...
that's supposed to be a comedy to begin with.
Well, okay, if I may, though. Like, yeah, making it a comedy is also one. However, here is also the thing, though. Like, comedy or not, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia finds a way to give us entertaining antics. However, the characters who try and pull off these antics always, well, mostly, always suffer the consequences.
Van, what are you doing?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say Neil's character gives me nice guy vibes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know
he's-
exactly what you mean.
So he's just like Elliot in Before the Storm. Okay, that's the second parallel we found here, right? But to follow up on what Chova was saying, another great example of that is, of course, Stanley Kubrick's Clockwork Orange, where pretty much everybody in that movie is a horrible person. But that movie is far more entertaining and explores those themes a lot, and when it's far more interesting than this.
I wonder, well, not as extreme. Can Doctor Strangelove also apply?
Well, Doctor Strangelove is a comedy, like you yourself said
That
earlier.
is true.
About,
I would say though, like, well, it can still apply, comedy or not. It still does take major writing chops to make a good enough story, let alone an entire premise, where most, if not all, the major characters are absolutely terrible.
It takes a very skilled writer to pull that off, as well as Clockwork Orange. This movie, while I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever made or anything, I don't think it quite pulls that off.
How about this? Like, a terrible comedy where pretty much everyone is terrible, but it still is horrible to watch. Stressed Eric, from what I've seen.
Never heard of it.
It's an old British cartoon.
And yeah, we get to see a bit of the talk show of, later on as it happened.
Remember, speaking of British sitcoms, remember one of the all-time more iconic British sitcoms, Allo Allo, has a main character who's cheating with his wife with two waitresses.
Also Blackadder.
I'll admit-
Blackadder, definitely.
Wait, Blackadder's a comedy?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And it revolves around, technically villainous characters.
Yes.
Also, for a moment I thought you were actually going to say, "Hi, honey, I'm home."
No,
Oh,
No, that is just garbage.
it's Garbanzo.
Well, okay, given that the main character is Hitler, can we technically say the main characters are all assholes in that? Okay, so it seems that what Nick here is doing is that he is definitely playing up the remorseful heel
Yeah.
of sorts.
At
Like,
this point, it's just, I wonder how long it's going to be until he tries to rape her. Like, at this point, that's basically what that's basically the only possible conclusion you can take when you're watching this bit. Like,
oh, NBC News, how nice. Anyway, though, so what Nick here is doing is playing up the remorseful heel, where he is pretty much airing out the stuff he did do wrong, but this in turn is to make him look more real.
Also, I just noticed, again, this being a Fox property, they never actually used the actual Fox channels where they could have.
yeah, why they use NBC? NBC's owned by Comcast.
I love you, wife.
Well, interesting.
I miss my wife, NBC News lady.
So,
Yeah,
Balls
let's
in
take
you-
away the ice cream.
ball's in your court now, Amy.
I was eating that, you asshole.
Well, that's his house.
But it's my ice cream. You gave it to me.
Oh, here we go.
Well, like we said earlier, that's what happens when this kind of stuff goes too far out into the public space.
Sure, a question. Like, since you usually talk about your stuff with food and stuff
Oh,
like
no.
that. What would your reaction be if you were eating ice cream and I showed up right there and I just took it off your hands all of a sudden?
Commissioner.
Well, you wouldn't have hands anymore, put it that way.
Okay. There you go. See?
What?
So wait. So hold on, Shiro. Neil Patrick Harris just took Amy's ice cream and he still has hands. So you're telling me that you would actually have an even worse reaction than Amy to that?
Yeah. You don't just take my food. What the fuck?
Damn.
What? Shit.
Well, there goes the sister, I guess.
We even kept the drone robot like we mentioned before.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Great, Neil Patrick Harris is an incel. Fuck.
I am a nice guy.
Tara, how the hell are you surprised by this?
She should
Tara?
love me the way I love her.
Yeah,
I've
again,
been nice to her for the past 2 days.
yeah,
Like-
okay. This is even more psychotic than when he was than Count Olaf, because Count Olaf, as evil as he is, makes no secret that he's evil. The character Neil Patrick Harris is playing here, on the other hand, yeah, that's even more scary. Someone who's pretty bad, but yet doesn't admit that they're bad, and just pretending that they're doing good stuff. That's scarier.
There you go, Shira. That's her excuse for all this stuff. I've forgotten how to behave. There you
She-
go. That's
she's-
her
You're a
thing.
woman, not a dog.
I'm pretty sure she's just playing.
You
him.
are a bitch, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's just
Dog, bitch.
again. I'm pretty sure she's just playing him. Let's not
No,
forget.
no. Oh, sorry, go on.
I'm pretty sure she's just playing him. Let's not forget. She is a psychopath. I wouldn't be surprised
yeah.
if it turns out it'll be her that's killing him as a twist.
Dibs. She's not a. Didn't you hear earlier? She's not a bitch. She's complicated. See?
Of course.
Also, I just asked Alice the same question because she's the ice cream enjoyer, and her answer is, oh, she would have expected that to happen because I'm basically a cat and I just take food.
Well, there you go then. See?
So,
There you go. See, Shira. No, Amy's not a bitch. Shira. She's complicated.
she's a C word. Complicated, ain't it?
I never hit her. That's not true. That's bullshit. I never hit her. I did not.
Oh, hi, Mark.
There you go, Dibs. We just found another parallel. There you go.
Okay. Okay. I know sometimes a lot of similarities to a film are coincidental, and I like to believe it's the case here too. But even just being coincidental to the room is not. It's not great.
Also, I'm reading something more in terms of adaptation differences. Apparently, Nick was actually even worse in terms of behavior in the book, described as, apparently from here, near sociopathic. Notably, while the book makes his awareness of her schemes more direct, the film has a very more subtle, where Nick claims that they are partners in crime, or something like that.
Why are they like committing tax fraud together when they're not boning?
I don't know. Again, despite this, I understand where the police is coming from because they're only going through what the evidence are telling. So,
Mm-hmm. So also, yeah, 21 days gone, and somehow this guy still hasn't plowed her.
Well,
I'm
again,
surprised- I'm surprised it would take him that long.
he did say he's not going to force himself on her. I guess he meant that.
That's an incredibly surprising turn of events, I have to say, considering what we've seen of the character up until this point.
All we've seen of him is that at best he's a weirdo, and at worst, extremely creepy.
But yeah, to be fair, he hasn't. Well, okay, he has done some criminal stuff, but not like, of the rapey variant yet.
so far he's hiding. Technically speaking, on a criminal level, so far he's actually hiding a person who has been kidnapped without alerting anyone. So,
Obstruction of justice, I
Yeah.
guess.
Very
There you
much
go.
so. He is aiding and abetting her in framing an innocent, in the terms of the crime man.
Oh.
She's a
Okay,
beast in
then.
the sheets, isn't she?
Wow, honey, I didn't know you were a biter.
But yeah, remember, the entire house is wired on cameras, so she's already plotting something.
This woman's so severely fucked up in the head, it's not even funny.
What was this movie rated?
R. You'll see later, Jova, why it is there. Aside from the swearing, there is some gore. Yes.
Shira,
Oh, goody.
Shira, at this point, I'm going to take it even further. Not even an army of therapists can help us with this one.
The therapists will need therapists.
Guys, twincest, no!
Oh, God.
Shut up.
They're-
with this.
Oh, wait, no, hold on. Wait, what did the guy say exactly? Dibs?
Just relax and don't do shit.
Oh, okay. That was just Dwibs saying the twincesting. The movie didn't actually do that.
Yeah, because you know, because there was a plot point earlier that because in order to make Nick, whatever his name is, look even worse, they make it like he's having an incestuous relationship with Margot.
Yeah, that was
No.
something that happened way back, though. The movie wasn't continuing with it, at least not at
Yeah,
this point.
because as we all know, close siblings that hug each other a lot mean incest.
Basically,
That makes sense.
the idea
Well,
was
we are in the southern states after all.
but not Alabama.
We're not in Alabama though.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's staging another case
Actually-
of rape. Great.
Actually, Jova, maybe that ties in with Alabama, considering the Alabama Man skit from that episode of South Park.
It's even more
because
Florida.
that's basically what Ben Affleck's character in this movie does. So
Okay, to be fair, Tio, they are portraying faking a rape as a bad thing.
No,
Oh, they are.
I wasn't saying anything of the sort of the contrary.
Did she
Also,
just
yeah,
put a bottle
she-
up there?
She did
Yes.
exactly that in order to make it more convincing. The fucking length she will go through.
She literally stuck a bottle up where the sun don't shine. You may be in for a nasty surprise up the hoo-ha, my dude. This is the hottest game of Scrabble I've ever seen. Usually my games of Operation don't end up to this extent.
Some people have different kinks, Jova.
I'm pretty sure Operation in the bedroom can't be good for you.
It's funny because again, the one recurring gag between a particular VTuber.
Oh, this is the scene I remember the most when I saw it in the cinema.
Oh.
And what about VTubers?
It's a fact that two particular VTubers who tends to get fanshipped and they put it more playfully. They basically have a slang for the act of being shipped as playing Monopoly together.
Oh. Well, that sounds like an awful time.
Again, I say the same thing that I said in like. You didn't even remove her panties. Like, how are you even
Sure.
calling?
And there we go. Now you see, Jova, why this is rated R.
It's weird because
Yeah, I actually remember this murder.
It's weird because up until this point, the movie has been kind of a strict PG-13. Like, they've obscured from full-on nude shots and everything.
Well, there's your R rating. This one C right here.
Okay,
Hank
her murdering
Cartolaff
someone.
is dead.
Yeah.
Her murdering someone doesn't surprise me because I thought she was going to murder the two earlier.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and again,
Actually,
so I was right. She ended up murdering him.
I get the idea also that the movie 30 Days Gone. I get the idea the movie also built up to this, the fact that the karma basically built up stress in her that she, unleashed in this act.
I'm guessing what she's going to do is stage it like, oh, she was kidnapped by Desi and killed him in self-defense.
Hi.
There
What's
you
it?
go. They've
Hey,
caught her.
girls! Hey, folks! The girl that was gone, she's back!
She's now found female.
Hey, honey, you wouldn't even believe what I've been up to this past month.
Did you crawl in inside a cow or something? No, I get it. This is like Star Wars Episode 5. She actually got a tom-tom and actually get inside in order to feel warm.
And look
You
at that,
fucking
now everyone's happy for the couple.
Although Nick is not buying it, as you can imagine.
Yeah. Huh.
Again, keep in mind, Joe, apparently in this movie, the police was actually more competent because in the book,
Yeah.
they did actually fuck up a couple of investigation beats.
And at least the police cop woman is at least believing of him now that the wife's alive.
Again, overall, she treated the investigation very, very competent, very professionally, so I have nothing to complain on her.
Yeah.
Again, from what I'm checking in terms of difference, it seems that we got a better deal from this movie than what the original book had.
And same writer, so maybe this was her means of improving on the book? Well, granted, okay.
I'm curious if David Noble will ever cover this story.
Jova,
Yes.
since you're the American, how do you rate Rosamund Pike's American accent?
Oh, she's British.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's British, yeah.
She's fine. She definitely has the advantage that a lot of her stuff has been frantic, so... she definitely has a lot of chance to mask the British accent.
Oh, fun fact, I don't know I can't remember if it was on the Blu-ray I got of the film, but the Blu-ray does come with a book about Amazing Amy.
Huh, cute.
Oh, the actual in-movie book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That she wrote.
it's called Amazing Amy, the Tattletale.
Get it? Because she's based off of her own character.
So the solution to the mystery is everybody's horrible and nobody did anything.
Well, okay, let's see where things go from here.
There were cameras in the bedroom, right?
I don't remember because I don't think so. Because I think that she deliberately showcased her being, in a fake post-rape kind of scene on one of the visible cameras, and I get the idea that she staged the murder in a place where she could not get caught.
Wait, she does say that there are cameras everywhere. My guess is what she did was she set it up so that it would look like he was trying to rape her, and she killed him in self-defense.
Self-defense, probably.
Although, apparently, during the promotion of the film, David Fincher and Gillian Flynn claimed that the film would have a third act that was completely reworked from the book. But apparently, according to TV tropes, that was a lie.
I wonder what happened. Maybe it was a thing that was supposed to happen at some point, but then they decided to stick up.
Yeah. It says almost entirely faithful to the book, so why did they say that in the first place?
No idea. Again, maybe it was a thing that was supposed to be reworked, but then they kept the original.
And now she's even calling the police and like, if it wasn't for your incompetence, my husband would have been arrested for my murder.
Again, you can tell you can easily guess what she's trying to do. Hi.
Hi, honey.
Oh, we still have like 19 minutes left.
What an odd couple. Isn't it right, Shuri?
I love how he says that. Like, even he doesn't fully believe it.
Yeah, miracle. Yeah, he was waving his hands around like that. I think he was fighting the urge to make quotation mark signs with his fingers.
It's a miracle.
True Christmas miracle.
Oh, now you give us applause. How nice.
Fucking Marvel citizens.
Yeah, pretty much. Guilty until
don't have
proven innocent.
Okay, whoever said you're my hero, Amy, pick
Can
better
Ben Affleck give the
heroes.
middle finger to these people, please? It's like, fuck off.
Pick
Maybe
better
this,
heroes.
maybe this movie is secretly a what if Daredevil never went blind
Oh, yeah.
movie.
I forgot to mention it earlier. You know that cap that Nick wore to try and hide his identity after the whole incest accusation went out?
Yeah.
Apparently, it was supposed to be a Yankees cap, but Ben Affleck's a Red Sox fan, so they compromised and he wore a Mets cap, whatever that is.
Huh.
I guess
I'll
another
check this.
baseball team.
Alright, hold on.
How funny would it be if she's actually just that insane, and now that she sees he can be as devious as she is, she wants him now? Oh my god, you know me and your marrow?
Take your damn clothes off.
I need to make sure you're not wearing a wire. Wow. Look, we'll just have a good adult conversation.
See,
Wearing
this is how
nothing.
you do it. Instead, also, yes, I can see
Oh my
Ben Affleck's
god.
penis.
Yeah!
Also, again, this is how you do it, Hollywood. Not under the rain, under a shower.
Also, this is starting to seem very Neil Breen-ish.
Ah!
Even
but
with the
yeah.
blood.
Abatio! Abatio!
That's what I'm saying too.
Abatio! Abatio, don't you see, the reason they have to do it in the rain instead of a shower is because they don't want to often see the actors naked.
I hate these police people. They're so corrupt. They kidnapped my wife. But yeah, apparently this is another thing where the book was apparently even worse, because in this moment the character of Nick was even worse, and apparently where is this? There you go. Apparently in the book he was also hell-bent on revenge against Amy, repeating to himself like lines like stupid bitch, and come home so I can kill you. Jesus.
Dude, just get the hell out of there.
Again, this movie, I guess, could have been so much worse.
But
Dude,
she
Wouldn't
just
you
said,
say-
but she just said, if you do that, then everyone will think you abandoned your wife who clawed her way back to you.
Wouldn't you say, sure, that they're quite the odd
Wait.
couple?
no! Dude! Don't put
Yeah,
it in crazy.
I'm sleeping on the couch.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life.
Hey, I can play Call of Duty at night. You cannot tell me anything.
So,
You might kill me in my sleep.
how funny. She wants some now, but he is probably not gonna give it.
And again, I kind of sort of understand why my country put the subtitle, The Lying Love, because it's reflective of his relationship. But like Jonah said, talk about spoiler.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, that definitely... Okay, it might not explicitly spoil, but
And
if
he's
you
stroking
read
the
between...
cat like he's fucking Blofeld.
I
I'm
mean,
actually wondering now what
honestly,
my
if
country's
anything,
name
the
is.
cat was probably the nicest person to him, aside
Cat
from his
was
lawyer
everything.
and his
Hey,
sister.
Dweebs, you know what day it is?
Thursday.
Garbage Day!
Oh my god.
One day home. Hey, Nick, look, sorry we kind of ostracized you, buddy, so, see you next
Cool
Friday
beans,
at the
right?
see you next Friday at the barbecue, right?
You
Oh,
pay
you
for
think, you think
scum.
that... You think
Pancake.
that's rich too? I just checked what my country's name for this movie is.
Go on.
Wait.
In Uncertain Parts.
I guess it's technically
Um,
describing something
Did,
that happens in the movie.
did Fox Portugal think it was a porn film?
Okay, I do like how it shows the media, of course, turning on the next guy who they have suggested is the big bad. What?
Hi. Yeah, she's making another book, if I recall correctly.
And look,
So
now
she
she's
just
found.
gets away with this.
So happy ending?
Uh,
Question mark?
I am not. Okay. The ending hasn't occurred yet, so let's see where they go with this.
If a lot of people loved each other, the world would be a better place to live.
You know, the messed up thing is, now I wonder if she legit does love him out of a psychopathic nature of,
That's
I
another,
want him,
guess that's
and now
another
he's
theme of the
mine.
movie, the ambiguity. Like, is this actually, do we actually still love each other 5 days home? Is it just a thing that now the things are resolved,
Oh,
things are becoming unbearable for him?
hold on. Apparently we have another plot bit. He pretty much is calling that she murdered him.
Thank you, Tyler.
I love how I specialize in fucked up things.
So, uh-oh.
Some bad patches. That's what you call it? Some
Yeah,
bad
that's
patches?
what this was.
Okay. You know the
Cool.
You know the messed up thing? If this actually somehow reignited their spark, it's like, oh, the ultimate roleplay. Someone actually did die in it.
You see, Jova, the plot twist is that this was their way of celebrating their anniversary. Or some shit, I don't
A
know.
Lifetime movie.
knows?
God, how funny
And
would
differentiates the bar.
you know? How funny would it be if it turned out that this is the actual movie based off of his past experiences?
No, Joe, we're not doing Looney Tunes back in action.
Uh-oh. Damn, feds always getting up in state government.
Hey, my birthday! 5 weeks home.
Nice.
So she's been at home for 5 weeks now.
Okay, so is the movie building up to one last thing, though? It feels like it is, but... Unless what? An epic physical battle between the two or something?
No, Jova, this is not Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
I really need to see that movie eventually.
It's stupid but fun. And wait, Angelina Jolie is always a classic.
I mean, you know,
Keep away from me.
You're not my mommy.
Leave me alone. I'm playing Call of Duty.
I need to insult racially someone online.
But honey, but I don't want to.
I can't pause the game, honey.
Reminds me of that bit from the Free Bears short from the Looney Tunes. But I don't want to have
I would
breakfast
nev-
in bed all cozy.
I would never ever hurt you, so said the murderous psychopath.
A true Black Widow.
Come on, give me your sweet, sweet seed. Need to make a
Jesus.
baby.
7/23, 7 weeks.
Oh god, he's actually gonna go through with it still to take her down.
But you can tell that he's cracking.
Well, it's like even his attorney said, he's got a pretty sweet deal, and chances are, if he pisses off his wife, not only will people possibly not believe him, she will possibly take things out on him tenfold in return.
So it's not even a thing like they can probably go through divorce.
How do I put it?
Wake me up from this nightmare.
Can't wake up.
Wake me up inside. Save me.
And hey, that song was in Daredevil 2003 with Ben Affleck.
I think it actually originated with that movie.
No, they just use it. To Evanescence song. My Immortal and Bring Me to Life.
Oh god, he even brought the talk show host.
Missy Pyle?
Mm-hmm. Needless to say, he's pissed.
peace.
Is that a
That's a
robot
very,
cat?
that's a
You
very
know,
polite way of saying
I love that.
fuck
I
off.
love that bit. Okay, lady who has been completely lying and deceitful of me. I met my wife. I would like you to meet my wife.
I get the idea, maybe that's the joke, is more of a thing of, oh, you two will like each other.
No, I was going for the whole. No, I'm gonna introduce her to my
Wait.
wife. Then she'll
Oh,
just
a
get rid of me.
pregnancy
Wait,
test.
she's actually pregnant now? But how? No, you didn't. She did not. Did she actually inject herself with his seed?
Jesus.
I mean, she really has ruined his life.
Still not justifying domestic violence, though.
Oh no, it doesn't, but she's really
Two wrongs don't
pushing
make it
him.
right.
Uh-oh.
I'm that.
I've killed for you. Oh, so you're a yandere now. How nice.
Well, yeah, kinda. She kinda has some yandere vibes.
I would say better than a tsundere, but
You don't
Not
say.
They're two separate extremes, dweebs.
I just don't like that kind of character. I'm sorry.
No, I understand, dweebs, don't worry.
That is not marriage, hon.
Again, one trait characterization that Amy seems to have is that her over cynicism and believing that she knows what's up with people and how they get married and how truly their life sucks in marriage, no matter what they say.
I hope you recorded that conversation.
So she legit.
What is that dress?
So she legit stole his spunk.
I'm sorry,
And-
what is that dress?
She's dressing
Who
up
was
as a
the
pilgrim.
costumist of this movie? You were fine for most part, but...
So that's why he stays in the end. What, are you implying that he actually digs the crazy?
Or maybe that he doesn't have any choice on the matter. Like,
Well-
leaving her and the child might be genuinely for the worse.
Because they're twins. Darkness, of course, this will be a Kingdom Hearts plot.
Well, Sora, as long as they really love each other, the light shines in their hearts.
Uh-huh. Hey,
Yes.
say, fellas, did someone say anything about darkness?
Not now, Mickey.
Get your shirt on. This is not that kind of...
Oh god, this is on Disney
Sure.
Plus. Isn't it? Get out, Mickey.
Sure. Think of it like sure. Think of it. You're not thinking this in the right way. Think about it this way. We would get to beat the crap out of Amy with a keyblade.
Yes. Like, and she...
I mean, that at the very least, that we can look forward to that at least.
Like, you know, she's possessed by Heartless, making her even more...
We started just like at the beginning.
Imagine. Oh, I just got done watching Encanto. Now I'll go watch Gone Girl.
They're both on Disney Plus. Might as well.
Also Fight Club, technically.
Wait,
So...
that's how it ends?
And the movie just ends like this. Like,
So Ben Affleck will not be invited to the X-Men initiative.
So Amy really does get away with all that crap.
yeah, Amy. And my problem with this, now I can actually say it. She gets away with it. And that's it. Like, what exactly was the point of all this?
I was having a good day.
The fact
Just so
that
you know, I was having a good
I
day.
get the idea that it's also the fact that both of these are horrible people, but throughout wacky turn of events, quote unquote, they're essentially now stuck in each other's life, whether they like it or not, and they cannot do anything about it.
I wonder if was there a sequel to the book made where they have the kid
There
and
was a sequel in mind you, apparently. The last that we heard of, however, was in 2015, January, when one person that involved with the movie, Gillian Flynn, the writer, said that she was open to the idea of a sequel, but said it would be a few years down the road when the original cast and crew will be available again. Yeah. 8 years later, by the time we're recording this, and nothing has happened, and I severely doubt Disney is interested in franchising this.
It is kind of weird because, for all the issues that I've had with it, the movie apparently was a big box office success. On a budget of $61 million, it made $369.3 million.
And it received critical praise. Not a 100%, obviously, but an 88%, which is still very generous. So again, when it comes when it comes to dissonance like this, my general question is: am I not getting something, or in the case, are these other people not getting something, or is there anything in between?
I will say this.
I guess we just disagree on things. I don't know.
I will say this. Unlike a lot of other cases, I won't chalk this up completely to critics just being up their own arses. Because, no, there are some movies with reception from critics versus reception of audience, which just feels like the critics are saying this so that they feel like they're with the in crowd or they sound intellectual. Either, deriding a movie for being too childish or video gamey, or, in other instances, praising a film for being more adult and whatnot. Now, I will say this. With this movie, I think I can see why it got the praise it did. I will say this. This movie does act realistically, but unlike a lot of movies that just use realism as their excuse for stuff, this movie doesn't feel overly pretentious about it. No. The thoughts of pretension come from the people who claim that Amy is a good female role model, cause, no, she is not. She is the worst.
And again, I have to ask, what did we all learn? What did you learn today, Shirei? Seriously.
But that bad people, might get away with it, but they still have to pay a price.
Which she doesn't really.
Yeah, she doesn't really. That's
well,
the thing.
Again, she's stuck in a relationship that she doesn't want, but it's only her choice, and she's only doing everything she can to turn the situation to her advantage. But it's still, technically speaking, a pregnancy, which is not necessarily automatically a pretty thing. She's stuck with a person that she really doesn't actually love, and she's more using it as a tool. I get the idea that air manipulation and advanced situation only goes just a bit so far.
I think the iffy thing, though, is the way the movie shoots it seems like she's happy about this new arrangement. I feel like what they could have done was shown that she had to give up for it, because, no, as it is, it feels like she gets away with it scot-free. Sure, yeah, she has some people get one over her, like the couple who pretty much rob her because they pretty much have her number and all that stuff.
But for the sake of time and everything, Dweebs, final thoughts?
Well, that was something. Third time I've watched this film in the past nearly decade now.
I didn't.
I'm sorry.
Okay, the music, well, I had to ask what music. It's just a bunch of droning noise going on behind the thing. It's not as bad as The Social Network, but it's not really saying much. The acting was pretty solid. That's the best part of the movie, the acting, especially from the likes of Rosamund Pike and Tyler Perry, surprisingly. and on characters, yeah, Tyler Perry was the Tyler Perry and the twin sister. They were the best characters in the movie, in my opinion, because they were both aware of how fucked up this was and reacted accordingly. Especially Tyler Perry's character. He's like the only character who's having any kind of, enjoyment, for lack of a better term, out of this whole situation. And that's why I kind of gravitated towards his character, because he was the one having any fun. So I was like, okay, I'll try and get on his wavelength. And I could, to be fair. The story, from Gone Girl to murderous, what's the word with well, no, it's got to be alliteration. What's the word with
murderous
what's the word for
man.
woman?
mother because
Yeah,
she's
but-
pregnant.
Yeah,
and
she is a mother.
Murderous madam to motherly matron. I'm struggling here.
Motherly murderess.
Yeah. So basically, the moral of the story is you can do all sorts of psychopathic, crazy shit and get away with it.
She doesn't go completely unscathed along the course of things, but yeah, in the end, it does feel like she gets what she wants.
Yeah. She's pregnant. She gets to be in a nice, rich house, and everyone else involved with the investigation knows how fucked up it is, but what can they do about it?
So honestly, what I'm getting out of this movie is that what's that? Your husband cheated on you. That automatically means you are justified in framing your husband for murder, as well as killing a bunch of people in the way.
Okay, I'm gonna be fair to the movie. It denounces Amy's actions the whole way. Like, characters are constantly calling it out for the crap it is, and even she is pretty much ousted as kind of a phony in regards to how she really thought things because she can't stay consistent with her own thinking. Again, if anyone glorifies Amy, it's more so, again, fans who think that she's a big role model. Like, I would say that's not something the movie itself is guilty of, to be fair. That said,
People actually reading this that way?
some people were, unfortunately.
I do not want to meet those people.
Again,
No, neither do I. Stay
okay.
away from me.
Okay, let me just say this. It has the same energy to me as people who see themselves in Chloe from Life is Strange, and that's supposedly making her a good character. In that.
Well, I mean, at least Chloe didn't murder anybody. Whether or not this needed to be 2.5 hours long, I'm still a bit undecided.
Mm-hmm.
I distinctly remember my exact reaction and feeling when I left the cinema when I saw this film.
All right.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah,
Again,
I can get
considering
that.
10 years, I tend to understand, at least give you a general assuming of what your taste normally tend to be. This really feels like a movie that you wouldn't have watched in theaters on your own.
I did.
And again, I'm talking as the person who went to see in theaters both epic movie and disaster movies. So I don't know what I'm talking about, most likely.
Okay. To be fair, I can get why you'd be interested in those because Mel Brooks showed that those kind of movies can work. You know, before Seltzerberg absolutely dragged the concept out into a street and
I
dirtied it
still
up beyond
should have known
recognition.
better, Joppa. But whatever. Are you done, Webza?
Yeah, I am done. This is just a really weird film, and with an ending that's not exactly very uplifting either.
Would you say
Rest
it's
assured,
as...
Dwebs, that at least we can put this to rest for the good now.
Would you say,
It doesn't really-
Dwibs, that it's as bad as you remember it?
No, but it's still not all that great either.
It doesn't even necessarily have to be uplifting. The ending, I mean, it just has to be meaningful. Like what exactly am I supposed to get out of this?
Well, I mean, you can talk about it more in your final thoughts because I'm done. Now, if you excuse me, I'm off to the country.
Like she's I can ask her now because she's asleep right now. But like, if based on what I know about my wife, if I asked her, like, if I cheated on you, would you do all of these things as well? Based on what I know from her, she probably would say to me, "Nah, that sounds like a lot of work."
It's kind of like he's Supreme Commando. This is the 90s. We're gonna sue you.
Actually, Pedro, why don't you go next, actually?
Yeah, I was about to say, go on while you're at it.
So, okay, how about this? Like, I'll ask Shira to help me with the first line of thinking of my final thoughts. So, Shira,
Okay.
what do we learn?
I don't know, man.
Exactly.
Like,
What the fuck is this movie trying to be about exactly? Okay, supposedly it's a mystery. Okay, gotcha. I don't think the payoff is all that satisfying. We literally see the big bad guy get away with it, and in a way that's not even particularly fun or interesting. She just gets away with it, like, and with little to no repercussions. and as a result, the story feels very unsatisfying. I understand that movie, like I said before, movies don't necessarily have to have a happy ending, but they need to have a satisfying ending. And this movie doesn't feel satisfying in its ending. It's just, it feels like the original writer for the book. Like, I'm guessing this ending is the same as the book, right?
Apparently so, yes. The only thing
guessing...
that's majorly different is that Nick was also an even more of an asshole in the book.
I wonder if it's implied more in the book that the reason he sticks with her is because he likes the crazy.
Yeah.
Look at Amazing Fantasy number 15. For those who don't know, that's the first ever Spider-Man comic book. This was before there was an actual Amazing Spider-Man comic book.
Mm-hmm.
That movie has a sad ending, specifically right after Peter finds out that the killer of Uncle Ben is that one guy, that one criminal he decided to just allow to get away, right? Karma, right? And then we end with Peter walking in fully with his head down in depression, and with the iconic line, "And so walks a lonely figure in the dark of night, aware at last that with great power comes great responsibility." So it's a sad ending, but it's an ending with meaning, because Stan Lee put meaning into that ending, because now Peter learned this lesson the hardest way possible. So the ending is meaningful. It's not happy, but it's meaningful. And that's what an ending needs to be. It has to be satisfying in some kind of way. The ending of this movie doesn't feel satisfying in any meaningful way. Like, I understand. I'm not saying murder. I'm not saying mystery stories have to always end with the bad guy getting caught and arrested. But again, there has to be some kind of catharsis at the end. Something that makes you feel like, okay, that was cool, or that was fun, or that was something. This movie just kind of this movie just ends like a wet fart. It's just like it just ends in okay. Turns out I get away with it, and the movie just ends.
Would you say that the 7 has more of an idea of this kind of ending? Okay.
And like I said before, I do enjoy.
Well, specifically the ending, because to give context without spoiling too much, 7 has a sort of a similar ending in this, because we're in a case where the bad guy technically gets away with their goal, and it's very bittersweet, despite the fact that the bad guy does get stopped in a way. But it has that kind of sad feeling that Pedro was describing. So I'm guessing it's more of a case of this ending getting done right.
Yeah, exactly. Like because 7, like yourself said, there's still karma. There's still catharsis. This ending, on the other hand, is just like, this feels like a whole lot of pointless bickering. That's what all this movie all comes down to. It's just shitty people doing incredibly shitty things.
So,
and I'm just like, what exactly am I supposed to get out of this?
So would you say that this was an incredibly messed up bout of couples therapy?
I don't want to see what a therapy would look like.
Sure, you're the one who constantly talks about it. Would you call this a couples?
Where the fuck was that? Where the fuck was the therapy? And where's my therapy after this?
Yeah, sure. I don't want to see what therapies look like in this movie.
No. You see, a few sessions after dealing with this couple, the therapist was found screaming and clawing at the asylum windows. Like, these would probably be the kind of people who would drive the therapist to need therapy.
Sure. Like, I haven't shown you Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro yet, but,
that anime.
Who would just, I love that anime, but me and my wife just recently finished watching the first 2 seasons. But the point is, Shiroi, I have to ask, who's more unhinged, Amy or Yamada? For those who don't know, from Bigata HK, or the English title, Yamada's First Time. Go on, Shiroi.
This woman, easily.
Yeah.
And not even Yamada, like the crazy chick who's madly in love with her brother.
Hell, I am
wow, she even surpasses Kanajo?
I think I have a little...
Yeah, because she's an incestuous little freak, but she didn't do all this.
No, look, I'm going to say it.
Memories of it.
They're both shit.
I think the
But
girls
different
from-
kinds of shit.
I think the girl from School Days is more restrained than this one.
You know what?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
Wow, we finally did it. We found a cast more unlikable than
been
that.
84 years.
That girl cut off a person's head.
Well, okay.
And hugged it on a boat,
Okay,
all
okay, okay.
romantic.
Okay,
like.
okay. To be fair, that was after Sekai had already killed the boy.
I guess.
But, like, I mean, holy cow. Like, no, I'm gonna go further. She's crazier than Anna from Shin Muneta. For those who don't know, love juice and cookies. Enough said.
Okay, how about this? How about this, Shiroi? We'll have the rest of Yamada and Nagatoro be your therapy for this. There, how about that? Okay, the point is, yeah, sorry, David, but I really think you peaked with 7, and you haven't really managed to make anything that convinced me since then. I don't really understand what exactly am I supposed to get out of this. This movie is not about anything. It's just people bickering and people being shitty. That's all it is. I don't really understand what's the theme of this story. Like, there's not even a particular character development of any sort of kind. I mean, Ben Affleck doesn't really regret anything because remember the whole "I love you" thing at the Togi, that's all an act, like we all know. The wife, of course, is a psychopath who doesn't actually, like, there's no character development in this movie. Like,
Apparently,
there's just no substance in this. It's a movie that acts all self-important.
Apparently, the
with
book had a scene.
no substance to back that up. Go on.
Apparently, the book had a scene that got cut away from the movie, where it's the official breakup that he has with the mistress he was cheating with, where she actually tells him the act and tells him how he's bad, and apparently that for some reason was not included in the movie, and that apparently was a bit of an instigation on why he eventually, accepted that relationship at the end, even though the book describes him as still a worse person. So I get the idea if we included that in the movie would have potentially helped. I don't know.
So basically the idea being that he accepts this as his punishment.
Yeah.
Or they both do, in that sense.
I guess I'm supposed to take that as his quote-unquote character development, but it's too little too late by that point. I mean, I still find this movie a more fascinating train wreck than Social Network, if that helps, because Social Network is just unpleasant to me, but whatever. The point is, the movie, sorry, it doesn't really work. I don't really understand what the fuck was the point of this. And that's it, really. It's just crap people doing crap things. So if you enjoy that, here's your movie, I guess.
Again, I don't remember much of my thoughts even the first time we did this, and like I said, I don't really have much of a stamina to actually go to listen it to fully again. So consider whatever I said in the original, run, discard it, okay, for the purpose of me mentioning Judgment in this movie. It's fair. It doesn't really tell me anything, but I don't think it's that kind of a waste of time and garbage. I can tell that it did not bore me like it did the first time, but there's definitely some better stuff that I could have watched, even on made by Fox. Hell, even by Fincher himself, like Fight Club. I'd admit, why would I watch Fight Club or 7 this? Again, I don't think it's completely to toss away, because there is something that resonates more to this day with the idea of false accusations, gaslighting, troubled relationships, and how the media exploits that in my country is a term for journalists that do that. We call them quote-unquote media jackals, as in they attach themselves like to a carcass and suck it dry without respect of any kind. And how the people, the neighbors and everything, react accordingly to that, only for at the end to be very nice and jolly. So again, as a social commentary, I guess it does work out better these days. But that's like saying the Postmen work better because of what happened in 2020, and like that only gets you so far. No, it's all right, but it could have been better. Apparently, it could have been worse because apparently, again, the book was even worse. So good on the author of the book for managing to iron out some of the kinks for the movie. I don't know how much was it her idea, how much it was Fincher, but whoever it is, I'm glad that at least we didn't get the war icky parts. despite everything. The acting is fine. I haven't seen the Italian dub, nor I have an intention to do so. The score was there. Again, I don't. So far, I had not really had that much problem with Trent Reznor. As someone who actually has listened to Nine Inch Nails in the past, I know what their style technically is. And sure, it can startle a bit potentially someone like Graves. I don't think it was that awful. Nothing memorable, definitely. But if anything, it makes me curious more and more to see finally the Social Network, to see actually what the fuss is about, even on a score level. But again, it's just a story about karma and how it affects bad people for the sake of it. But as Pedro said, there is a clear lack of catharsis. I don't think it was a case of the author was trying to set up for a sequel but never happened, because there's still a sense of finality to the story. But I do agree that we could have cut away a bit from the final part and just stick to the idea that yes, we're still living with each other, but they're not happy, and that's that. But the teasing with the pregnancy just feels a bit more twisting the knife, ironically. I don't know. Like, it's nothing that I will remember that much, so I don't think it deserves all these amazing praise. I don't think it's even the worst thing that has happened. Definitely not a movie from Fincher that I want to watch again in the future. And again, the entire reason why I picked this for Generations was because I just thought the original commentary was really to discard and to just give this movie a fair do more than anything. But that's kind of it. Next.
Alright, I'll go next. I feel what this movie... Okay. Alright, let me just put this off the bat here. This movie was not horrendous like I thought it might be based off of reactions from the original commentary. Like, now, do I feel it was overrated? Maybe, but again, in a weird sense, I can kind of get why this movie got the praise it did. Like, what we do have here is some raw and very realistic horror of what can happen when the media is absolutely dogged to go against you, throwing away logic and reason to the wayside and whatnot. So this movie does do that very well. That being said, that does not automatically make the movie as a whole a masterpiece. This movie is frustrating because this is a movie that I feel is constantly skirting the line between being a brilliant movie or just a fascinating mess. And I do feel like what it ends up being is a fascinating mess. Now again, not the most horrendous mess. However, I do have to say, congrats on finally getting a cast that Shiroi hates more than the girls from School Days. Like, no, that is an absolute accomplishment, but...
Like
yeah.
I said, they're all different. They're all unhinged, just different kinds of unhinged. Like, pretty much equally unhinged, but yeah.
Amy takes it to, like, the next level in that regard. And honestly, I get it, having her get away, it's supposed to be about leveling out, but honestly, I feel like she was undoubtedly the worst of it. Don't get me wrong, Nick does some bad stuff, really bad stuff, but he still does not compare to Amy. Like, she actually commits murder, manipulates the folk into that here and there, frames a man, ruins his life for stuff he didn't actually do. Yes. Yeah?
Heck, if this is the only thing they wanted to go with, you know one thing that could have made it better?
Wow.
Have Nick be just as bad as her. That way, at the very least, there would have been some kind of karma to it.
Which is apparently what happens in the book.
Supposedly, again, to be fair, in the book, he does talk about killing her, but it doesn't sound like he ever actually goes through with it. And don't get me wrong, yes, you can be charged with, intent to kill and whatnot, but how much of that was distress talking is apparently up to debate. But I would say, even in the book, I would still... okay, it does sound like he's worse in the book. No doubt about that. But it does still sound like Amy's the worst. The absolute worst. Now, maybe the book does play it off better as him feeling that he deserves this punishment, whereas in the movie, it sounds like he's staying mainly for the sake of a child. And oh boy, that child is going to grow up with some issues. Jeez.
Social services better get their asses in there.
Yes. Like, again, the frustrating thing about this movie is that it very much does want to be pretty good. There are good ideas. The problem is, it does feel like at times there are things that hold back those ideas. First and foremost, the pacing. Now, again, the first act is relatively fine, but by the time of the second act, this is where they start stretching stuff out here. And okay, once the mystery of his wife is solved, then it becomes something of a battle of wits, an attrition between him and Amy. Again, though, that ends up getting drawn out here, and the actual resolution is, I'll be honest, it's not as satisfying. Like, it says something that quite possibly the most satisfying thing to happen in this movie is a couple robbing Amy, showing her that she's not really all that like she thought she was. If only because that is probably the biggest and most solid moment of catharsis. Oh, sure, they are robbing her, so they're criminals too. But technically, what they did was punish an even bigger monster when you think about it. So, how messed up is that? I guess that's the best way to describe the cast as messed up. Now, there are the good seats here. Like, no, the police officer, woman, sergeant, captain, or whatnot, she does her job properly. She only really arrests Nick when it seems like dead to rights. He is the murderer. And she does seem to show remorse for wrongfully arresting him when it turns out his wife was alive. And she is in his corner there. Same with the attorney, played by Tyler Perry. And his sister as well, who gets majorly affected by this. Like, I guess it's a good thing that her bar will get high compensation and franchising, since now essentially Nick's whole life story is going to make them gajillion, like, oodles of money. But at what cost, though? Because Amy really gets away with it, because people keep falling for the okie doke with her. Like, and again, I do wonder, okay, people definitely misread if they think she's supposed to be a big female role model, and I guess one could say that, oh, assuming Desi was going to, you know, essentially rape and keep her captive, again, this is in spite of all the wrong she has done, that, yeah, she was in the right for killing him, and like, look, to the man's credit, he never did rape her. Now, was he practically keeping her a prisoner? Yes, and that is bad in and of itself, although, again, the karma really gets called into question here of things. And I do wonder if the movie sometimes loses track of the fact that, no, Amy is the worst. Now, that does not justify other people doing terrible stuff, but again, don't try and portray it like, oh, poor Amy all around here, because all this stuff she got herself into, and she keeps making things worse. And again, she took the first shot and killed Desi, which is apparently the main reason we have an R rating even, because I'll be honest, up until that point, I was wondering why this would be rated R.
That scene is the only reason.
Like, you know,
Makes sense.
I don't think they even say the F word multiple times, and it's like...
No.
I guess at least...
They say plenty of other colorful words, like towards the end.
Well, remember, it's specifically the F word being saying multiple
Amy's
times.
speech about who as Nick married.
Oh, that I'm not as sure of if that'll bump it up to an R rating. Like, the one I'm knowledgeable is the F word being said more than once, but that could be possibly that. But, yeah, the music, I'd say it's fine enough for what it needs to be. It doesn't need to be big and bombastic. It's there to set up the atmosphere, which I feel it does well enough for the most part. The acting, Okay, I'll say it. The acting's pretty good. I feel like Fincher definitely directed the cast very well for this movie. They definitely become practically different people for these roles. So, yeah, no, kudos there for the acting. But yeah, no, again, like in a lot of cases, the main thing that drags this movie down is the story and its execution. I feel like we needed better payoff. I feel like if this movie had better payoff, I would probably go so far as to call it good. Not particularly amazing or great, but at least good. But nah, that ending feels just a little too disheartening. And yeah, it can become a point of being too bleak to the point of where the audience may not care. And yeah, like, I get it. Back when it came out, it was praised, but I do not hear as many people talk about it. Like, it says something that even a lot of the big name reviewers on YouTube have not recently covered it here or there for one reason or another. Now, like Teal mentioned, there are some who apparently do want to give it a shot, but again, that's like they want to. They haven't yet. And I can sort of see why they're too. Like, yes, this is a fascinating mess. But again, it's not like something I would go out of my way to see. Let me put it like this. Freddy Got Fingered, I could see more people rushing to see if only because that movie is the king of biofascination. Like, it's the movie you have to see to believe. It is, like, the absolute edge of how far a man will go to purposely make a bad film. Gone Girl is not that. It is trying to be a thought-provoking story, but the thoughts it provokes in me are not exactly that stellar. So, at the end of the day, Gone Girl, it wasn't the train wreck I was expecting, but it was a fascinating mess that I can't overall call good. But it is watchable. Take that for what you will. Shiroi, close this out with your final thoughts here, girl.
Well, that was exhausting, actually. Like, legitimately exhausting. And it's interesting because I wouldn't call it, awful as a movie. Like, yeah, the pacing was a bit, like, it dragged out a little bit, and they probably could cut, like, 20 minutes to half an hour out of it. I feel like 2 hours or so sounds about right. 2.5 hours is kind of pushing it a bit. I didn't mind the soundtrack either, because I feel like, because of the kind of story it was trying to tell, I feel like the very minimalistic and more atmospheric soundtrack was more appropriate. The acting was also fine, like, considering, there's the Social Network, and then there's here where people actually are going to be legitimately miserable all the time. And
that's right.
Considering everything that's going on, of course everybody's going to be feeling like shit.
That's right. You were in on the original Social Network commentary, weren't you?
Yes, and social commentary. I do like that it portrays various things as just being genuinely icky, like how the media leeches off of stories like this, and what happens when it gets out into the public hellscape. I do like this quite a bit about this movie. I like, but after the first hour and a bit, oh my god, was it exhausting? Because look, I know not everything is supposed to have a happy ending, and that's fine, but they could have just left it at that, because it feels like the book had a better way of going about it, which is interesting, because didn't one of you say that the person behind the book also was helping with this movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's really weird.
To be fair in that regard, I've seen a few cases where writers of the book who are helmed to write a film will go out of their way to change it. Most famously with the Coraline movie, where Neil Gaiman pretty much said, well, if I wanted to make the script the same as the book, I'd just say read the book, is something he said along the lines of that.
I can bring up another example. When Stanley Kubrick made Lolita, he collaborated with the author of the book to make what is basically an alternate version of the book. Very different, but in my opinion, it's actually better because it's a much more human story in comparison to the book, which is more like a betrayal story.
But look, like I said, I know not everything's supposed to have a happy ending, and with a story like this, it makes sense. But there should still be some kind of hope in there somewhere, even if it ultimately doesn't go anywhere. Like, because they try to pin her for everything she's done, but they ultimately can't. That's fine, but you still don't feel like there's even a chance for them, because it's the Last of Us Part 2 problem. Everything is just miserable. There's not even a single light moment. Like, and again, I don't mean humorous or whatever. There's not even a breather. It's just misery from beginning to end, and it is legitimately exhausting.
It's also
So
like
it's like-
Sorry. It's also like Last of Us 2 in the sense where we have what could have been a good ending, but then the last bit just has to screw it up to go, nope,
Oh, yeah.
no light
Honestly.
allowed, it's all
Not
dark
even
and
just that.
deplorable.
Hell, not even just that. For as miserable as Last of Us Part 2 is, I will say this: at the very least, it was trying to have a point in the sense that it was trying to hammer in your fucking head that revenge is bad and that violence only begets more violence. While the way they handled that message was absolutely god awful, at least it was trying to have a point. I have no clue what the fuck this movie's trying to say, to be honest with you.
What do you think, Shirai?
Again, I can see the meteor aspects of it, but I don't know in general. Like, it was just a miserable time, honestly, and yeah, genuinely draining to watch. Even though, like I said, it's not actually a terribly made movie. It's the writing that just, yeah. No, I'm actually exhausted.
Well, no, at the very least, sure, with this, you don't have to ever watch it ever again.
Yay!
Look forward to a Social Network Generations commentary. Did
Well,
that one drain you?
I don't know.
I remember Sherry being pissed off at that movie back in the day.
I'll probably just be bored if I watch it again.
Again, I'm
From what I remember
genuinely
of it.
just more curious, but that's not
Yeah.
technically for now. Again, we'll see what happens in the future. So stay tuned. See you.
See
See
ya.
ya.